Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL. It's Wednesday night. It's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Bahrain goes on the inside and
phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin still lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name. Well, good morning, everybody, and I don't know what's happened to the cameras. It's probably because the Ninja is down. Nevertheless, it's one thing we usually remember. But hey, George Morgan here, back live and bringing you all the action as well. Jack, I can see you're here. You're just going to be waiting a little more patiently on me. I am going to put your camera on anyway, Jack. But hey, look, you can't start a season much better than this. I mean, you don't really want to see us anyway, really, do you? You want the racing. But here, nonetheless, welcome back to PSGL, everybody. Hope you're all keeping well. It's a pleasure to be here, Jack. Obviously, you guys will be able to see me very, very soon. Just bear with me a little moment. But, Jack, let's just talk about this. Round one, we're back at Bahrain, the scenes of where the title was decided last season.
Yeah, sorry, we just fell down an abyss there. It was a bit weird. But we're back. Well, this is the start of the season again. I mean, this is real now. We've waited so long for this F1 23. Back at Bahrain. And, well, now we've had it every season so far. Barry Borman has won every single season opener since we began a couple of seasons ago. Let's see, he's going for his 5th straight victory of a season opener. Let's see if he can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is obviously the mission. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be good. Obviously, we've got lots of action ahead. Obviously, Jarno Opmeer bidding to become a champion yet again. Obviously, Lucas Blakely coming off the back of winning it last season, and along with the F1 Esports title as well. But then, of course, it was Barry Burman who went at the last minute. You can see me now, folks. Hope you're all keeping well. We are back. We are here, and we are able to bring you the action. It is a pleasure to be here. Hope you're all keeping well. We have got, I would say, probably a record number of viewers tuning in live at this point of the show. We were talking about it off air, weren't we, Jack?
Yeah, we've never seen 1,700 people waiting for the qualifying to start. I mean, you guys are mental starting this off already. So that's already, I suppose, a record for us. So let's see how this stream is going to go. I know there's a lot of excitement behind the start of this season. New league racing season. Some of the finest league races you will see. The F1 Esports guys are all here, except for the running joke of Josh Edo. He's not here because he's on holiday, but let's see if he shows up to more than one race this season. But enjoy your holidays, Josh. We look forward to seeing you back. But Otis Lawrence is back filling in for him today as well, and we have all the heavy hitters back. I mean, we have all our previous champions are back on the grid. We have Barry, we have Jarno, and we have Lucas Blakely on his full-time return to league racing. Had a one-off appearance at the end of last season, but he's now back to get back on track, see if he can go for his 2nd title.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's plenty of names here, obviously, that we need to fathom. I mean, obviously, Freddie Rasmussen as well, Jack. He was in the midst of that scrap in the social race when we last went racing at Spain. We, of course, then witnessed him coming together at the very end. Otis Lawrence, got to give him credit as well, despite him not being given a full-time seat this season. But Freddie, once again, showing the pace we're used to seeing in the world of F1 esports. Could it be the case that he could fight for his very first title as well? I don't think we've seen him liaise in the championship for an extended amount of time, but this could be the time where Freddie makes a dynamic return.
It could be. I mean, we saw in the social race, it was him versus Jarno Opmeer for the win there. I mean, what a big surprise, really. These guys are always at the top of their game. But of course, there was the incident between Jarno and Barry. With Barry getting knocked out of that race as well. But Jarno took the win in the social race. If you did miss that, it was last week. There's a couple of clips up on our YouTube channel as well, if you want to check those out. The great battle between Freddie and Jarno, and of course the contact, or what would seem to be contact, between Barry and Jarno at the time. But we saw some great races overall. But Otis Lawrence is right up in the mix there. He was fighting up at the top, at the front end, towards the front, as we would expect him to. But a couple of maybe different names mixing it in there early on. But yeah, we're very excited to get this underway. We're just waiting for the last few drivers to hop in the lobby, because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, some of the finest F1 esports drivers in the world are actually terrible timekeepers.
Yeah, they can be, yeah. I mean, they tend to leave us hanging in many ways. But hey, look, that's just the way it goes. You know, we have to deal with these personalities in the world of F1 esports. But obviously, the big talking point prior to the season start, Jack, is Alfa Romeo. Obviously, Sauber Esports plumbing for a change of drivers. They've got two very talented drivers, obviously still young guys, but Brendan Lee you could argue, a veteran in the world of F1 esports and also that of league racing as well. Was a former league racing champion back in AOR in its heyday on Xbox. Of course, pulled up trees when he was in PC as well. And then later goes on to win his very first F1 esports title. Now, with the change in handling, obviously Jarno harked back to it in his own stream, basically saying that this was more the direction they were looking for in terms of the handling model. Now, could that same mindset come into play with Brendan Lee as well? Could he bounce back and take another title?
Well, we can certainly. This will be our first indication, won't it? I mean, you can't take these early league races as the pace going forward, but they are a good indication. So we'll sort of get an idea coming into this one whether Brendan Lee will find his stride once again. But it was those older handling models where he seemed to perform better. I mean, he's been around since the very first season of F1 Esports. He was the inaugural champion back a number of years ago. And then you've got his new teammate in the form of Thomas Ronner as well. So a really strong lineup. So very excited to see how that is going to work going forward. But, you know, it's always going to be a case of wait and see with this, because these early races won't quite be an indication, because just like real F1, guys will not show too much pace early on, or try not to show their hand too early on, because again, we're prepping for another season of F1 esports. So got to keep that in mind as well. But every season so far in PSGL, it's been Barry Bormand winning the opening race. And I mean, I'm putting my prediction early on, he's going to do it again.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assumption there, Jack. I think obviously you've got to give him a chance. Naturally, though, I think this is going to be a tougher season, given the fact that we've got all the mainstays back in the fold, the likes of Jarno Watmir. What about Freddie Rasmussen? Brendan Lee also in the mix. Of course, former champions in league racing, all looking to return and deliver a clinic. So, sit tight, folks. Obviously, let us know your predictions as well there in the live chat. We want to hear from you. Jack, prior to us starting, obviously we've got Q1 dead ahead. The session just loaded in. Have you got any predictions yourself before we get started?
Barry Borman pole to win. That's my prediction.
Do you know what I love about you, Jack?
Simple as.
Do you know what I love about you, Jack? You're clinical, which is what I love.
I'm just going off the statistics. This is what we had for the past 4 seasons, so why change? But again, that's the easy route with predictions as well. Just go off the statistics. I mean, we could see an upset. Let's wait and see. We've had Lucas Blakely win here before as well, so we'll see if he can do that again. We've had Jarno win here previously, but season openers I'm talking about, it's always consistently been Barry for every single season. And he took pole in the social race as well. Let's not forget about that as well. But we're here in Q1 at last. So for some reason, there's nearly 2,500 of you here for Q1, which is definitely a record. So welcome to you all. And we hope that you do enjoy the stream. Full qualifying is in effect, of course, Q1, Q2, Q3. So do stay tuned. But again, Q1, the early stages, not much going to happen. But if you are new here, there is some certainties in life. There's death, and there's taxes, and there's Q1 opening laps on intermediate tyres with some of the finest drivers in the world. It's Dylan Warren who's the first car out on the circuit for this brand new season, PSGL.
Yep, we're underway, folks. Welcome back to PSGL. And if there's one thing's for sure, the best live chat is a PSGL chat. So we do welcome you here to Bahrain, a circuit that helms 15 turns, 5.412 kilometers, 3.363 miles. Lots of testing circuits, plenty as well of DRS zones for the drivers to take advantage of, coming in between 15 and turn 1 as well. What about turn 3 and turn 4? Another opportunity for an overtake too. And then you've got the back straight of turn 10 towards turn 11. Very tricky zone as well. And naturally, we could yet see some dramatics heading through that section too. But it's all about that run down that long straight. Obviously, you need to make sure you maximize your efforts out of 13 and 14 to give yourself a decent run down through towards turn 1. Nevertheless, these drivers are experienced. They've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. And nevertheless, looking at this, Dylan Warren returning yet again. And I must say, Jack, he's impressed us lately. It has to be said. Dylan Warren, I'm going to call him the giant killer because he's capable of it. What could we see from Dylan Warren here on out? I get the sense that this is an F1 esports driver in the making.
I think so. I mean, he got himself through to Q3 last week in the social race, which was totally unexpected, but he has shown really, really good early pace on this game. So let's see if it continues forward. But yes, Dylan Warren definitely one to watch. So let's see if he can keep up that form from the social race as well. You'll also notice that Luke Smith is back on the grid this evening as well for Alpine. He's actually filling in for Ruben Pedreño, I think, up at Alpine. So look, good to see Luke Smith back as well. The return of Shanaka Clay as well at Williams. We didn't see him in the social last race, but he is the full-time driver at Williams alongside Alvaro Carreton. So great to see him back on the grid as well. And the return as well of Patrick Sipos as well. Nice to see him. Remember him last season, of course, took that sensational pole position in I think it was Brazil, where he went quicker than F1 Esports pole. So Patrick Sipos one to watch as well. And Luke Smith, a former winner from last season as well in Saudi Arabia, held off the charging cars behind to hang on to that victory. It was actually a charging Alfie Butcher, I think he managed to hang off in the very, very end. But great to see them all back as well. But now these first runs are on intermediate tyres, if you are wondering. This is to save a set of dry tyres. It's a well-known strategy in the world of F1 Esports, saving a set of the dry tyres, set to save the soft tyres. And, well, it is, you know, it may look a bit silly, but at the end of the day, if everyone else is doing it, I mean, you may as well.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. Obviously, the benefits of getting the intermediate tyres on for the first run is also not just to give you an opportunity to test the car onto the circuit, because obviously these guys like to get a cycle lap in just to make sure everything's working. Obviously, technicals, things of that nature, things can go awry. But also at the same time, give yourself a delta to work with as well, as Patrick Sipos goes second fastest as well, despite taking a purple first sector, goes second fastest to Dylan Warren, both on intermediate tyres. The rest of the grid, though, opting not to come out on that Inters run. Now, this was a popular thing last season, of course, on the last game as well, but only 2 drivers netting times on intermediate tyres. Could there be a complexion change now? Might a few of these drivers be thinking, well, the time's up on the intermediate tyre runs, we're not going to do it any longer, we're just going to stay on the softs and wait for the opportune moments to come out?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the early indications as well. We saw some guys come out, but they didn't bother doing a sort of a second lap on those inters, so to speak. They didn't do an out lap plus a time lap. They just did an out lap and came straight back in, and a lot of them didn't even bother. So, I mean, would you really be sad to see the end of the intermediate tyre runs? I mean, I sort of would, because some of them are actually really entertaining, particularly if I think back to Fabrizio Donoso or Jarno Watmir, who liked to go on a drift session around the tracks back in the day. But as well, we used to have the Brendan Lee 360s out on the circuit as well.
Remember those glory days?
Miss those glory days. My particular favourite, actually, was at the start of last season, was Brendan Lee on the formation lap, actually, doing a 360 right into his grid slot. It was perfect. Let's see if he does that again this season. 12 minutes to go. We're expecting drivers to sort of come out around the 10-minute mark, so expect things to get quite busy out on the circuit now. But judging off the social last time out, we're expecting this to be very, very close. It was one of the closest sessions we had back in the social race as well. I'm predicting that this entire field for Q1 is going to be separated by about 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, I don't think you're too far wrong there, Jack. Already in the immediate, though, we've got certainly the man in P2, Patrick Sipos, 61 thousandths away from the top time set by Dylan Warren at this stage. Naturally, not necessarily a lap that we'll take into account for the entirety of the session, but those are the opening laps that we have seen on circuit, and they will forever be labelled in history as the first 2 official laps in the brand new season on the F1 23 game here in PSGL. So well done, Dylan Warren and Patrick Sipos, for that. But in the meantime, folks, it's you guys that we need to take into account. I want to say a massive thank you to every single one of you for tuning in and supporting PSGL as well. We hit an incredible landmark here today. Big C announced it, and certainly so did PSGL on Twitter earlier on. A massive 28,000 subscribers here to this YouTube channel. What an achievement, certainly by everyone behind the scenes who put so much work in. So a salute to Big C, to Louis Kryptonite as well, and many other of the staff that sit in behind and put in all the efforts to make this league happen for you guys there at home, and for you guys to tune in for your entertainment free of charge every Wednesday and other days of the week as well, live here on YouTube. Make sure you stay tuned to it as well. Make sure you also check out the socials too, at Premier Sim GL. Those are the gamer tags that you need to be concerned with, or certainly the Twitter tags or Instagram tags that you need to be concerned with. I think there's also a TikTok as well. You can check that out as well. But yes, folks, you can hear the revving of engines now. There are more cars about to make their way out already. Now, soft tyres being banded on many of the cars, and we're going to sit tight. There is some activity further down in the Alpine garage. I don't think that is going to be Patrick Sipos this time. I think it could be his teammate Luke Smith. Of course, our lobby host at this stage. We'll just wait and see. Maybe it isn't actually. It could well actually be Patrick Sheepos. Might be right the first time. Let's wait and see, folks. All I saw was an Alpine livery just leaving. And it was indeed
Yeah, you're
Luke
right
Smith.
the first time.
Oh, well, give myself a big pat on the back. But yes, Luke Smith now out on track. Soft tyres finally making their way out onto the circuit, Jack, and a massive 132.518 to beat.
Absolutely. So, well, I'm sure he's going to beat that with relative ease. But Luke Smith, of course, like I said, was a pole sitter and a winner from last season at Saudi Arabia. And again, if you haven't seen it, I think the clip is actually, the pole lap is still up there on the YouTube channel. You can see him get incredibly shocked that he took pole, when going quicker than he'd gone before in hours and hours and hours of practice, and he did it in the session. So you can see there, it is getting very, very busy out on the circuit now. Lots of cars starting to come out, but Luke Smith is the first of them. He's followed by Ferraris, which is Nicholas Longue. So let's see how Longue gets on this season as well. Again, we saw the fresh partnership of himself and Barry Bourmand taking the ultimately taking the driver's title, and again he was chasing down Ronar around this very circuit. If you remember back to the end of last season, the drama that occurred here before at Bahrain, but we were of course now starting off the season here this time. But every car is out on the circuit except for Jarno Opmeer, who's decided to come out at the very tail end of this train and get himself some clean air, because it can get a little bit tight for space out there. We've seen that. We saw that in Spain. We saw a couple of guys getting frustrated with traffic in the way, particularly I think it was Wilson Hughes who I think was getting very frustrated with,
he got penalised, didn't he?
And he did get penalised, yeah, indeed. But it's going to get tight. Every car is out on the circuit, but Luke Smith is going to be the first man to take us round.
Yeah, absolutely. Luke Smith, the first man out on track for his outlap. He's going to be the first man as well to set a lap here around Bahrain. Let's take you round for a lap around this circuit on soft tyres. Through turn 1 he goes, and then fourth gear down again as he makes his way. A little twist of the wheel for grip out of turn 2 and turn 3. With DRS now opened up, he'll make his way down through towards turn 4. In towards the next right-hander now, braking in just after the 100. He'll then swerve his car around in low gears, 4th up to 5th now, heading his way through the slalom section of turns 5, 6 and 7, riding all the curves as well. You can take them aggressively on this version of the game with the new handling model, as we're now seeing him make his way out of turn 8 now. Turn 9 and 10, now this is very, very tricky. You want to be careful, you can lock the rears very easily. It all depends on where your ratios are in terms of the gearing in these cars. Makes his way now out of turn 10. Down the back straight here with the DRS opened up. Turn 11 coming up next as well. Now he's going to break in aggressively at the 50. Doesn't even clip the curb on the inset. Makes his way up the hill now as well. But a 5-place grid penalty for his teammate Patrick Sheepos. That won't concern Luke Smith though, as he now rounds turn 13. The long straight ahead. Just look at the traffic here at Bahrain as well. They're all there waiting to set laps. Already though, I can tell you this, that certainly Luke Smith, purple in the second sector. He hasn't got the first sector though, because Thomas Ronhar, who's also on a lap, is up there, but 2 purples to Longue, who's currently in 15th. Luke Smith goes fastest immediately now as well, but all eyes now on Nicholas Longue, who has set the first 2 purple sectors at 28.3 in the first, 27.7 in the second. Purple sector 3 went to Luke Smith on his lap. In comes Longue. He'll surely go fastest. He does with a 27.812, Jack.
Yeah, nice effort from Nicholas Longue. Now it's all about, of course, being in the top 15 cars. Get through to this part, the next part of qualifying. Wilson Hughes next to cross the line in his McLaren, pops in right behind Nicholas Longue on that first effort as well. Next up to cross the line, we have a couple of the Haas's. Alfie Butcher crossing the line now. He goes to the top on a 127.7, followed by Danny Beresnay, who's going to pop into P4. Just behind him, Lucas Blakely will cross the line P5 as well on his return. First laps coming in right across the board now. A couple more still to come. Freddie Rasmussen just in behind Alfie Butcher. And then we have John Evans into P5, impressed in the social race overall. Good to see him back on form. Then Brendan Lee up into the top 3 as well, also on a 27.7. Marcel Kiefer goes in there just behind on a 27.8. A couple more still to cross the start finish line. Shanaka Clay pops in front of Lucas Blakely And then we have Jake Benham, P11 for the moment. Next up, one of the Alpines, Patrick Sipos, pops into P6, followed then by Thomas Ronar, who pops just in front of teammate Brendan Lee. Fabrizio Donoso on a 28.0 for the moment. Then the last couple of runners on these early runs, Dylan Warren to 14th. It'll be Barry Borman next across the line. He goes to 3rd, 27.776. Then it's Jarno Watmere who'll cross the line to go 8th fastest, 2,000ths behind Marcel Kiefer on that first run. And then I think we just have a couple more still to come with Luke Smith coming through there. But there's the first effort. It's Alfie Butcher currently up at the front, in front of Freddie Rasmussen. But I wasn't too far off my prediction, was I? Whole field so far, 3/10.
Yeah, and I can tell you this, what a lap from Alfie Butcher as well. Obviously coming off the back of a successful run in F1 Esports Challenges, returns here to PSGL as well. Obviously one of the new faces to get a regular full-time seat in this classification, and doing a fantastic job as well. Of course, we got the returning championship contender from last season, Thomas Ronha. He went 4th fastest, but also Barry Burman ahead of him once again, this time in 3rd with a 27.776. Absolutely sensational. Just look at that, mere 1,000 separating the sharp end as well. Longuet setting an impressive time with that purple initial sectors, but immediately taken away, and Butcher now to the top in great fashion. And I must say, in the early goings, that fills a driver with all sorts of confidence, Jack Canal.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we talked about Alfie Butcher in the pre-season, that he's a dark horse for many this season. Could snatch a surprise victory here and there, but again, he's off the back of a really successful F1 Challengers. Again, you know, he's got the pace there to boot, so this will be an opportunity now to prove to the F1 Esports teams that we know are watching that he is definitely one to watch. But he's in front of Freddie Rasmussen. Let's have a look here. 4,000 separating Nicholas Longuet, Marcel Kiefer and Jarno Watmere. That's absolutely standard. 5,000s between the Alfa Romeo teammates as well. Thomas Ronar and Brendan Lee are just 5/1,000ths of a second, and I think 9,000s between themselves and Barry Borman as well. So incredibly close. But right now the man on the cutoff is Jake Benham. He's P15, and just in front of him is Lucas Blakely, reigning F1 Esports champion, currently P14 at the moment. So in the drop zone currently, Dylan Warren, Fabrizio Donoso, Luke Smith, Otis Lawrence and Alvaro Caraton. So these second Q1 runs, I mean, keep in mind folks, this is only Q1, so this is going to get even spicier as we head through the rest of this. But even getting through to Q2 is a feat in itself.
It is, and I just want to talk about Wilson Hughes as well, because he set a very impressive, in fact he set the fastest third sector at 21.631. The fastest middle sector going to Brendan Lee with a 37.660, and then to 6th place man Nicholas Longuet still holds on to the fastest first sector of a 28.357. So the purple sectors divvied up between 3 different drivers. None of them are in even the top 4, let alone P1. Alfie Butcher with just an impressive lap overall in order to gain that top spot. So vastly impressive from him, and already retiring from the session as well, joined with the likes of Barry Burman, Thomas Ronhart, Brendan Lee. And I said before, obviously alluding back to the handling model, Brendan Lee finding that pace again. He's in the top 5 here in Q1. Could be a sign of things to come here from the new Alfa Romeo or Sauber Esports driver. So sit tight, everybody. Otis Lawrence also sustaining a 5-place grid penalty now as well. Now that seems to be rearing its ugly head an awful lot at the moment.
Yeah, it's basically cars going slowly that are picking up penalties because of that. But we have been confirmed that the lobby will be restarted after Q3, so these guys will not have those penalties. Because I was watching Otis Lawrence, and he did absolutely nothing wrong.
Oh,
so we will have a Q3 restart after this to make sure that these guys don't pick up these silly penalties for just going slowly with the cars behind them on outlaps. So that's all that's wrong there. But they will, of course, have all those penalties removed. Not an issue there. So those will get a lobby restart after this. So the second runs of Q1, a minute left on the clock. Danny Berezne is going to get us underway here in the Haas. And he's currently P12, so needs an improvement. But an improvement of a 10th of a second will rocket him up about 6 or 7 places. So let's keep an eye on Danny Berezne as he comes through turn 2. Turn 3, a little bit of oversteer on the way through turn 2. Heads up towards the sector 1 split right now. We'll get an idea of his sector time. 20 heads into the second part of the corner here. Back on the power. Gets on the power nicely, coming through that part of the corner. Now he's 300ths of a second up, 400ths in that first sector. Now Freddie Rasmussen decided to retire as well, so we kind of know our cutoff point now is around those 27.8. So everyone else behind, it seems to think that they are not going to be safe. And Brendan Lee, I think he's the one on the right on the cusp there, 27.78, is pretty cutting it fine when we're talking about a 27.8 cutoff. So let's see how this goes then. Danny Beresnay up towards Sector 2 now. We'll see if he's on a further improvement. Heads into the left-hander, gets back on the power, keeping it nice and steady. Up the hill he rises and will get all up on the curve on the right-hand side. Gets into the sector split. Again, he's still 400th of a second up. And this will get him in and around Patrick Cepos, Wilson Hughes territory. So a slight improvement. If he can find more time in this final corner, this could definitely see him through safely, but it's very, very tight. Heads out of the final corner using all of that curb on the exit. Runs up to the line right now. Here comes Beresnay. Is it going to be enough to get him through P9? So right through on the 27.8 for the moment. Luke Smith also goes at 27.875, but those guys will be very much quaking in their boots because everyone else is on the same time behind him. But the man on the cusp now, George, Lucas Blakely, coming through the final corner.
Yeah, Lucas Blakely also making his way around. Of course, current F1 esports champion has set a 28.3 in the first sector, 27.6. He's definitely in the mix. Keep your eyes peeled. I can tell you Donoso's gone fastest in the middle sector, but Blakely now to the top. Sets a 127.647 in very good road health, as now we see Dylan Warren also making his way around. Donoso, as I say it, second fastest, the man who took Brendan Lee all the way in Abu Dhabi in the grand final of that particular event, certainly is delivering. Wilson Hughes is now checked out. He remains where he is in 13th. Caraton also not improving much. Otis Lawrence, third fastest. Kiefer, second fastest as well. What about Jana Watmere, who's currently making his way around the final corner as well? Jake Benham is about to cross the line too. 18th fastest only for him. And now it looks like Jana Watmere remains in the top 10. 10th place. But Lucas Blakely is your fastest man, a 127.647, decides the fastest man here in Q1, with Kiefer back to his rude best. 1,000th of a second off the top, Jack.
1,000th in Q1. This is what we're talking about here. Otis Lawrence popped in a time at the very last possible moment to get himself through there, which actually eliminated Danny Beresnay. And I just want to say, my prediction was spot on, guys. 0.3 of a second between the whole field, like I said, as we're coming down here. Danny Beresnay eliminated, Luke Smith eliminated, Jake Benham eliminated, Shanaka Clay, and unfortunately we might have bigged up Dylan Warren slightly too much. It didn't quite get the lap in at the end, but only 0.3 off at the end. Wilson Hughes and Patrick Cepos on the exact same time, but the first down to 15th was just under 0.2 of a second. And this is just Q1, and we've just broken a viewer record. So this is mental.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in live. It's a pleasure to have you all here. We're just about to get started in Q2, and a sensational lap there from Lucas Blakely, first of all, to get things kicked off. And that's exactly what you need. Get yourself back in after winning an F1 esports title. You know, he knows he needs to go 2 times now, Jack. There are 2 predecessors that have gone 2 times as an F1 esports champion. So unless you've done it twice, you can't throw yourself in contention just yet of being the best. You're the best in this current era, but there's obviously the overall factor to be concerned about. He needs to try and usher in some brilliance now as we move ourselves into yet another game cycle. As now we rejoin the action here in Q2. Alfie Butcher, of course, one of the sensations certainly at the very start of Q1, where he did go fastest for the brief moment, but nevertheless, the F1 Esports Challenges champion on PC from 2023 has really shown that he belongs at this table with some of the greats that we have seen over the years. Certainly the likes of Freddie Rasmussen as well, who has not finished outside of the top 3 in the entirety of his F1 Esports career. Came in out of 2018, came 3rd in that particular season in the title race, and then every year since then, finishing 2nd behind the likes of David Tanitsa, Jana Watmere, and of course that of Lucas Blakely as well. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, but this could be the big change this season. Now, we've got plenty of other big names to watch out for. Obviously, John Evans making his way into the top 15 as well. Now, Jack, we were impressed with John Evans last time out. He really pulled something out of the bag in the social race last time, and he was pressuring the top 5.
Certainly was. He just didn't quite have the energy management towards the end, but again, very, very positive signs. I'm just amazed at how busy it is out on the circuit at the moment. The guys are basically racing each other through Sector 3 right here. They're desperate to get an early time in just to be sure that they can get themselves a time, but it's incredibly busy out on the circuit here in Bahrain and jostling for track position. But believe it'll be Alvaro Caraton to get us underway here in Q2, the first runs. You can expect these to be on a used set of the soft compound tyre, but Caraton gets us underway for Q2. And again, if you're unfamiliar with the qualifying setup, the top 10 go through from this session into Q3 to fight for pole position. The rest will start where they finished from 11th downwards. But there's another man who we've been impressed with. I mean, we had Lucas Blake go top there. Marcel Kiefer, we didn't see much of him in the social race, had a pretty poor season last time, but has he found something?
Does it on the night, Jack. Does it on the night, doesn't he? Incredible. But no, second, certainly displaying some great pace and launching his car straight into the top end as well. It's certainly no mean feat. Qualifying wise in Q1, actually finishing higher than Jarno Watmere in that first session here in PSGL. Not that that necessarily means a lot at this very early stage, but still Kiefer, a massive change. Certainly in comparison to when we saw him in the social event. I can tell you this, Thomas Ronhaar, though, was the fastest man in the first sector, 28.368 for the Dutchman. Currently sat 10th fastest without a time to his name at this moment. Currently holds that purple first sector as we now see Caraton make his way through the next straight now as well. Crossing Sector 2 and now looking to enlist a superior time in Sector 3 as well. Set at 28.408 in that first sector as he now makes his way through the final corner. A 37.868 to his name now. I can tell you Jarno Watmere has taken a purple in the second sector. A 37.728, enough for him to go fastest in that particular sector. 1:27.970 now the fastest time. But what about Thomas Ronhaar? He has just taken the purple Sector 2 away from the Flying Dutchman. Caraton, despite Watmere going to the top, holds the purple in Sector 3. Here comes Ronhaar now, up towards the line. Is it enough to beat them all? It is. A 27.808 to kick us off here, Jack.
Yeah, again, these we would imagine are on these used compound tyres, but it's Ronhaar, Watmere and Brendan Lee, your top three. So an Alfa Romeo sandwich currently for Jarno Watmere up at the top end here. But some guys not opting to come out on that early set of tyres, not bothering with a used tyre run here. So we have Ronhaar currently fastest on these tyres, Watmere second, Brendan Lee, John Evans in the mix, P5. There he is, right in the middle in the Aston Martin. Again, both Aston Martins getting through this time. Fabrizio Donoso is in there as well as he races his way through the second sector with a couple of cars there jostling for position. Now, one of those being Freddie Rasmussen. I think they're trying to race each other back to the pit lane here. Interesting to see them already getting elbows out in qualify. We haven't even got to the race yet, but we've got plenty of time yet. 10 minutes to go. Top 10 go through. Kiefer, Sipos, Hughes, Lawrence and Blakely did not come out on that first set of tyres, so they're going to wait for everyone else to come back into the pits, and they'll come out, you'd imagine, on a fresh set of tyres and hope that they do enough to get through on one single run. It's all these little things that you have to be thinking of here with saving an extra set of tyres is just so valuable in case something goes wrong in Q3.
Yeah, absolutely. There you can see the gaps, folks, in comparison. The two Dutch contenders, Jarno Watmere, the former two-time F1 Esports champion, currently sat in behind that of Thomas Ronhaar, 47 thousandths of a second separating the two. Brendan Lee in the top three as well. Definitely looks like he's back to some sort of form. I do like what I'm seeing from the former two-time champ as well. The two-time champs incidentally locked together second and third. Caraton in behind those with Evans in fifth. Nicolas Longuet and Barry Burman a little, I suppose a sluggish start, but nothing too sluggish. I mean, we talk sluggish like we're looking at 0.2 of a second, which is absolutely unbelievable, but still nonetheless an impressive feat for the two Ferraris, certainly being at the sharp end. You'd expect nothing more than that between certainly two friends that have a strong relationship. And we saw how that relationship worked towards the end of last season, Jack. And it definitely looked to be the case that if you're talking team partnerships, it doesn't get much stronger than Barry Burman and Nicolas Longuet.
No, absolutely not. Those two work so well together, and they'll be carrying that forward into F1 Esports. But you can expect plenty of tactics being played there between those two. The team chemistry really, really strong there. And you could say the same about McLaren, Wilson Hughes and Lucas Blakely. They've got good chemistry going on right there. You've got Jarno Wontmeier and Marcel Kiefer. They know each other well, but this is a different level now at Mercedes. So we'll see how that team dynamic works going forward. And again, a new development, of course, at Alfa Romeo with Ron Nahr and Brendan Lee. We'll wait to see how that works out between the two of them, because they're going to be both hungry to go for wins, but we'll see how that goes, as we have every car out on the circuits pretty much. Ron Nahr is currently coming down the pit lane, as I continue to be shocked, because every time I look at the live chat, we continue to break records. Just to point out, everybody, if you are new here, you're more than welcome. Dear. But the last time, the largest stream we've ever had on PC was 6,500 viewers peak in the race. We've just hit 6.9 in qualifying. So this is crazy stuff. Thank you for joining us. Stick with us, because we haven't even got to the good part yet.
You know, they just want a piece of Jack Canan, mate. That's what it is. But nevertheless, you know, great to have every single one of you here watching PSGL here. And of course, make sure you tune in for the rest of the season. Plenty more to come as Patrick Sheepos now makes his way around on yet another flying lap, as we're now seeing him make his way out of turn 2 and turn 3 as well in the Alpine. Big lap in hand here for Sheepos, who of course is now essentially a team leader in Alpine. Makes his way around turn 4 as well, hugging that inside as best he can. Could argue that he ran just a little wide, but he can tackle all the curve. No fear of that here in this version of the game, as we're now seeing him make his way through the next slalom section. Nestles in at 28, does not get a 28.6, instead it's a 28.423. 5-place grid penalty for Nicholas Longay, but as you said, folks, the lobby is going to get a restart. I can tell you this though, Otis Lawrence setting a purple first sector already, but it's been stolen by Lucas Blakely. So hold on to your hats now, as we now see, nevertheless, Patrick Sheepos make his way, heading up the hill out of turn 11, and now climbing through turn 12 and 13. Big chance for Sheepos here to lay a foundation for his qualifying, certainly. 37.631, fastest of all in the second sector as well. Wilson Hughes has stolen the first purple sector at 28.243. He's nabbed it off his teammate Lucas Blakely, as now we see Otis Lawrence go fastest in the middle sector. But here comes Sheepos up towards the line. Nevertheless, as he now makes his way through it, first fastest there for Sheepos. But it's not the only time we should be looking at, because here comes Otis Lawrence now. He, of course, set in that purple second sector. Wilson Hughes set in the first purple sector, as now Otis makes his way across, goes fastest as well. Topple Sheepos now, and let's look at the others, because in comes now Lucas Blakely. He goes fastest with a 27.507, but what about his teammate, who is incidentally looking to try and topple them all? Fastest in the first sector. Has he just trimmed his teammate to the top? No! Third fastest there for Wilson Hughes, but only 75 thousandths away from that top time.
How close do you want this to be? So again, 27.5, 27.5, 27.5. The top 5 are all on a 27.5. Next up to cross the start-finish line. Just a moment. Well, Barry's going to be out. Barry's going to be out at this rate if he doesn't get another lap in here, but he's had to back out of that lap, so that's put pressure on. Invalidated coming through that corner, Alfie Butcher. There he is again, P2 at the moment for the Haas, up at the top end there. Fabrizio Donoso and John Evans, P7 and P8 for the Aston Martins. Marcel Kiefer and Jarno Wontmeier, mere thousands between them, but there's Brendan Lee matching the time of Lucas Blakely up at the top end now, and now Ron Nahr will be the next guy to cross the line. Here he comes, crosses the line, goes to the top, 27.427, fastest time so far, but this is so close. Currently, Marcel Kiefer, Jarno Wontmeier in the drop zone. Both Ferraris are in the drop zone, and Freddie Rasmussen is in the drop zone. Pressure is on. Pressure is on him, Jack. And certainly at this point, Thomas Ron Nahr, 27.427. 37.576 was the purple middle sector time set by Thomas Ron Nahr here at this point. He didn't have purple in 1 or 3 though. Nevertheless, it was enough in the second sector to retain the top spot. But sensational stuff indeed. Invalidations, unfortunately for Freddie Rasmussen, is what's crippled his lap at this point. Currently sat in 15th without certainly a time representative, certainly to this order. 1.1 seconds off the sharp end. But what can he do in a very late stage in order to bring himself back into proximity? Of course, we've still got 3 minutes and 50 to go, but Ron Nahr at the very top. Just look at those laps though. Brendan Lee, 80 thousandths, matching that of Blakely in the top 3, just behind Thomas Ron Nahr.
That is incredible. And just look at the top 9 as well, Jack, all within 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, it's amazing. But there's 8,000 people watching qualifying, George. I mean, stay tuned, everybody. We have to get to the pole shootout here.
Maybe it's not that number we should be impressed with. Maybe it is the number on the actual
it's the numbers that would continue to keep going up and up and up. We're blown away. Just
Thank you, guys.
Keep yourselves entertained. Just keep yourselves entertained there, because you're doing a great job. But we've got the shootout to get through to Q3 now. And then we have the pole shootout, and then we have the race. We haven't even got to the good part yet. Stick with us, and thank you for helping us continue to break records, and it's only Q2.
How do you feel about making history, Jack? I'm up for it. I don't know about you. I mean, I'm sure the viewers would love to, certainly make history. And
you're all part of history right now.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. I mean, look at this. Look at this absolute complexion we have here. You have the best racers in the world of F1 esports here taking part at Bahrain. We're witnessing lap times that are very, very fine in margin. You get to see all of this happen before the start of the F1 esports season. So this will give you guys an insight as to what it could be like. And as we have seen time and time again, PSGL has proven that it can produce, certainly, title-winning drivers year after year. Blakely was one, Jarno Opmeer was one as well. And could Barry Burman be one after winning last year's title? Obviously, it's a different game now. Sit tight. I think this season could be the catalyst. And at this point, Ron Haar's on top. But look at the top 3. Blakely and Lee, 2 former champions in behind him, all within 80 thousandths of a second. It just doesn't get any better than that.
No, it doesn't, but a vote of confidence there for Thomas Ron Haar, who's decided that he thinks his 27.427 is going to be enough to get himself through to Q3, which is about 800ths or so ahead of Blakely. So everybody else except Ron Haar has come out of the pit lane to go for a second run. So again, it's a vote of confidence for Thomas Ron Haar in that regard, but this is an incredibly stacked fight to get through to the top 10 of Q3. Marcel Kiefer and Jarno Opmeer on the cusp at the moment. John Evans, the man in trouble in P10. He's currently through, but needs an improvement on his lap. But the big shocker is really you've got Kiefer, Opmeer, Longe, Borman and Rasmussen in the drop zone. I mean, you would not have predicted that coming into Q2. The pressure's on them now. This is where the true test comes through. Pressure on you. You've got one attempt to get yourself through to Q3 in the most stacked grid in league racing, and you cannot screw up.
No, you can't. Nicolas Longe now making his way down through towards turn 4. Looking to try and hang it around the outside as well. We're going to ride on board here with the Frenchman, who's certainly proven that he is certainly deservedly at the top. And it's a little mistake, I think. A twitch to the wheel heading through turn 4. 5, 6 and 7 coming up next here for the Ferrari driver, certainly the Scuderia Ferrari team. They're looking to try and bring themselves to the forefront. Of course, famously winning the title in F1 esports with David Tunitsa back in 2019. Of course, David Tunitsa coming out of absolutely nowhere and taking the championship that season has since gone on to do great things with the Jean Alesi esports team, driving in real-life racing in single-seater cars, and has since become a race winner in real life as well, and also taking part in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo team as well. As we're now seeing Nicolas Longe make the climb, heading up through towards the final sector out of turn 12, turn 13 coming up next. The long straight now making his way down through towards turn 14. Longe, who's currently sat in 13th, looking to usher in some better lap times, has improved in the first and second sector. Not quite as fast, though, as his teammate Barry Burman. Wide of the mark there for Longe as he now makes his way down through towards the line. It doesn't look like it's going to be a good end. He's going to be out of qualifying. Longe's out. Barry Burman, second fastest for the Iranian, now goes into the top end. Freddie Rasmussen, is he improving? I think he's invalidated, Jack.
This is absolutely crazy. Longe with a mistake through the final corner. Sipos improves one position, crossing the line now with one of the Mercedes. Marcel Kiefer pops into P5 there. Having a look at Rasmussen. Yes, he has. Rasmussen has invalidated, so Rasmussen is going to be out in Q2. That is a shocker. It's P15 for him, but we're keeping an eye on the rest of the order now. Otis Lawrence, he's also invalidated, so he will not be taking any further part. One of the Aston Martins coming up to the line now. Donoso sneaks in. Wilson Hughes on the cusp now, comes up to the line. Does he improve? Yes, he does. Pops in front of Blakely. Crossing the line now. Next to cross the line, Rasmussen. He does not improve, of course. Next up then is one of the Hasses and the second of the Aston Martin, which is John Evans, who just misses out. Jarno want me across the line. He's through in P4 the 27.482. Brendan Lee, will he finish the lap? No, he'll back out. So that is the end of Q2 and a crazy end there. But Longe and Rasmussen, the big shockers here in Q2. But it is Thomas Ronauer who tops the session by just 200ths ahead of Barry Borman. Wilson Hughes, Opmeer, Blakely, a resurgent Brendan Lee. Marcel Kiefer is P7, so he gets through. The two Mercedes both getting through. But George, the young guns, Alfie Butcher and Otis Lawrence through to Q3.
Yeah, unbelievable. And what will be, I suppose you'll count this as heartbreaking, but Blakely's still going through. But he enlisted on that lap a purple first sector until it all went wrong in sector 2 with 28.2, which was faster than Thomas Ronha by literally looking at this, about a tenth and a half. Incredible. He found a tenth and a half in the first sector against Thomas Ronha's fastest time. So Blakely, I think, will be a little disappointed in a way he wasn't able to complete it. But nevertheless, Ronha at the top. Barry Burman in behind. Now, those two, of course, some rivalry there. We saw that at the end of last season where they would fight for the title. I can tell you that Caraton currently sat in 11th as well. Obviously out of qualifying. Another man who will be very disappointed after certainly looking very prosaic is the man in P13, Patrick Schipos. Fastest third sector in that session of 21.538, but out of qualifying. Can you believe it? That just goes to show that at the end of the day, despite the fastest sector times, you need to put in a complete lap. But Ronha back to the top by 16 thousandths here, Jack.
Yeah, it is, but a tenth of a second covering all of the guys who set sort of representative lap times down to 13th. Longe, of course, we saw him make just a tiny error in the final corner, outbraked himself by a couple of meters, and now it drops to 40. He'll start 14th, sharing a row with Rasmussen, so let's see how they can get on from there. But Q3 on the way, and well, I mean, it's anybody's guess for pole position. We've had two different drivers top the sessions. Blakely topped Q1, and now we have a new name up at the top end as well coming into this one, which is Thomas Ronauer. But it's anybody's guess who's got that pace, who's got that tiny bit more to get themselves onto pole position, because the top four were separated by less than a tenth of a second. So it's anybody's guess, folks, but Q3 is going to get underway, and we're super excited because we have, I believe, all of our champions are through into this part of qualifying. We have Barry Borman, Jarno Watmere, and Lucas Blakely are all in the fight for pole position. I'm stirring my pot here, Jack. I'm stirring my pot because we're cooking at the moment. We're cooking. So yeah, that's what's happening. So looking ahead, Q3 now about to get underway. We're just sitting tight. Obviously, Alfie Butcher making a first appearance. One race, one Q3 session. Not a bad start here for the man who took challenges in the PC platform this year. What about Marcel Kiefer and Jarno Watmere? Two Mercedes making their way in to Q3. Of course, we've got Barry Burman, who has just lost his teammate in Q2 as well. He's got to fly solo here for Ferrari here in Q3. What about Fabrizio Donoso? I'm seeing some key names here, Jack. Brendan Lee and Donoso, two drivers that would take the championship in 2017, the first ever championship in 2017. It went down to the final lap between those two. Donoso, who was leading some of the way, looked like he was going to become champion, the Chilean, but it would be Brendan Lee who would take it on the final day. Could history yet repeat itself? Who knows? We might be seeing a little bit of that tonight. Let's wait and see. Obviously, Bahrain it is tonight, not Abu Dhabi, but nonetheless, the first chapter in this story is going to be sensational. I can't wait for it. I hope you guys at home can't as well. And incidentally, a big thank you to all of you at home who are out there breaking this record tonight at PSGL. Please make sure you leave a like. And also, if you haven't done so already, why not hit that subscribe button? You know, we've hit 28k tonight. Why not 30? Come and join the show and be part of it as well. It's great to have you all here. Let's get set, Jack. It's Q3. Are you ready? Well, whether I like it or not, here it comes. We've got 10 minutes on the clock for Q3. Then we've had lots of people wait to come out, but Q3 is now underway, and it is Wilson Hughes who is the first man out onto the circuit here in Bahrain. Great to see him get through to Q3 as well. Got himself through pretty comfortably in the end, almost matching Lucas Blakely, of course. But again, Blakely was on a different improvement, but just invalidated towards the end. So we have Wilson Hughes out on the circuit. we have Barry Boremand as well. Will not have the support of Nicholas Longue into this session now. So we'll see how that works for him. But again, both the Alphas getting through. Thomas Ronnar and Brendan Lee both through. Both McLarens and both Mercedes. So that's big for them. Denoso as well for Aston Martin. Great performance. John Evans, he just missed out by the tiniest of margins, but I think he can be happy with that performance. And Alfie Butcher punching up there in that Haas. We saw flashes of this from Alfie Butcher last season, particularly at Saudi Arabia, and he was fighting Luke Smith all the way to the flag there. So we will see if that carries forward. And I mean, Otis Lawrence, still not old enough to get into F1 Esports, still not old enough to do challengers, and here he is rocking about in Q3 with all of the F1 Esports guys and the challengers guys. So again, he doesn't have long to go until he gets to the right age, of course, but this is what you need to keep doing. Performing. And I mean, F1 Esports teams, they watch and they're going to be snapping this guy up.
Absolutely. I mean, he turned 15 not so long ago, but obviously he can eye up challenges potentially for next year. Obviously next year is when he can do it. Obviously 16 being the cut-off age point where you can actively take part in an F1 Esports competition. So let's sit tight. Otis obviously looking to become one of the greats in the world of F1 Esports. There is a great chance that he can be one, as we now see Wilson Hughes make his way down through towards turn 1. Fabrizio Donoso is going to be the first man, though, through turn 1 now, as he makes his way through turn 2. Turn 3 coming up next as well for the Chilean, who has, of course, been a bit of a journeyman ever since 2017 when, of course, he began his racing in the world of F1 Esports. Prior to that, obviously taking part in league racing for many a year, hailed as one of the great talents alongside that of Brendan Lee, and one of the longest serving drivers in the world of league racing, and that of the top end of F1 Esports as well. Great to have him still here as well. Plenty of legends certainly making up this list, and plenty of former champions as well. We've got no less than 3 of them here in this single session alone. 10 drivers, 3 champions, and certainly 2 of them have done it back to back and twice as well. As we're now seeing Donoso make his way up through the next left-hander now out of turn 11. And making his way up through turn 12 as well. The Aston Martin, all in green, racing green, that I'm sure will certainly come into fruition for him at some point. I can tell you this, despite him taking the purple sector 2, his purple first sector time has been taken away by Barry Boremand, who currently sits 4th in your timing tower. That's just been snatched away by Thomas Ronhar now, as Barry now takes the purple second sector. Invalidation for Donoso, though. That's not helpful at all. Wilson Hughes also making his way up towards the line as well, setting a 28.2 in the first sector, 37.6 in the second. Goes fastest with a 27.5, but more and more times coming through. Brendan Lee actively also stealing some of the delta as well. Whoa. Fastest lap for Barry Burman, 27.363. Brendan Lee heading down through towards the final 2 corners now himself as well. Purple in the middle sector that he took away from Barry Burman as he makes his way down towards the line. Where's the Sauber Esports driver going to finish? 27.330. Top in the timesheets, but Ronhar is on a furious lap here and does indeed currently tee himself up, heading up towards the line. Is it going to be enough to send him to the top? It certainly will. A massive gap of nigh on 0.2 of a second between that of Ronhar and Brendan Lee.
That is epic from Thomas Ronnar, ahead of Brendan Lee already. So a 10th and a bit in hand. Alfie Butcher coming up to the line right now, crossing the start-finish line to set his time, P5 in front of Marcel Kiefer. Again, we're expecting more and more quick times. Here comes Otmir coming up to the start-finish line, crosses the line now, pops into P5, 27.484 on that first effort, but is all not said and done. Otis Lawrence, he invalidated his time, as did Donoso, but it is an Alfa Romeo 1-2, Thomas Ronnar with Brendan Lee alongside him, and just a couple of hundred separating themselves from Barry Borman and Lucas Blakely. So plenty of talent up at the front end, but just the tiniest margin between the rest. But Ronnar found something special in that middle sector, so we'll see if anybody can get close to that, but I am expecting big improvements. I reckon if anybody's going to do it, I feel like Barry will find something.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Barry Burman certainly being at the sharp end. He's not far away, just over 1.5 tenths of a second off that of Thomas Ronhar. Quite an excessive gap, though, between that of Ronhar up at the sharp end. Just under 1.5 tenths between him and his teammate Brendan Lee. And 127.186, enough to hold on to the superior time at this point. But sit tight, we'll wait and see now as to what the final laps will bring. Obviously, this will essentially be the final runs here in this session. We're just coming down to the final 4 minutes now. And I tell you what, folks, it's now your time to shine there at home. Let us know in the live chat who's taking pole position here at Bahrain. It's now or never. Let us know. Jack, over to you for your prediction.
Oh, I think this is a tricky one now, looking at the gap up the front. But I'm not 100% sure. But just with that gap, I'm going to change from Borman pole to Ronar pole, because I think that gap is slightly too much for the rest of them to get. But I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Well, plenty of votes for Jarno here as well. Barry getting some votes in the live chat. You guys are sending it here. Keep them coming. Ronhar as well. Not to mention Rasmussen, where is he? He's not in. He actually was eliminated in the second session. Brendan Lee getting a vote. Marcel Kiefer getting a vote as well. Plenty of Jarno fans here in the chat as well. We got more for Ronhar as well. Blakely is getting a tip of the hat as well. So big thank you guys for sending these in. Incredible. Barry Burman. Wilson Hughes getting a vote as well from PSGL's own commentator Dan Field, as well as many others. Incredible. Certainly to have everyone getting involved in on this. Great to have you guys in the live chat. Keep them coming, folks. Great to have you all here. And we're just waiting now for the final 3 minutes to bring us yet more action as we sit tight and get set for the final runs here. Squeaky bum time, Jack Canan.
It is, and it's the first squeaky bum time, if you want to call it that, of the season. The shootout for pole position at Bahrain, and can anybody to end the duct of Barry Borman winning every single season opener since the very first season of PSGL PC. Let's wait and see, but it's now going to be pressure on for all of the drivers around here. It is incredibly close. Ronar's put in a stellar first lap, 27.186. He will be the last car out on the circuit, as he always tends to do. Always likes to be the man to put the pressure on himself almost, and be the last car to cross the line. But the first man out on circuit is Lucas Blakely, a former PSGL champion, and of course the reigning F1 Esports champion as well. So he's got plenty on his shoulders at the moment, and is in the same 10th of a second as Jarno Watmir. P4 and P5 for those guys. I mean, we have looking at these top guys, we have 5 F1 Esports titles in this in these top guys. We've got all of our PSGL champions in this top 10. And we will see if Lucas Blakely can get his second title, if Barry Borman can get his second title. Jarno Watmir is going for his third title in PSGL PC, so let's see what happens. Every car is out on the circuit. Everyone is slowly building up to this, but it will be Lucas Blakely who'll be the man. Again, he won here before, and he'll be hungry to do it again. And again, wants to show that he can transfer that pace across. He's obviously, of course, fresh off a GB4 race as well, so now has to jump straight back into this, and he's right on the pace.
Jack Canan, I can confirm, live on stream, we have hit 10k viewers here, watching live here at PSGL for the first time in history. Big thank you, every single one of you. You guys are complete legends. Big thank you. Give yourselves a pat on the back. We're going to give you a stellar ending to Q3 here now, as Lucas Blakely now makes his way around the final corner, and certainly being chased by that of Barry Burman, the man who would win the PSGL championship at the end of last season. It's now Blakely who's going to take us round now, making his way through towards turn 1 now, as he now moves the car around, getting that rotation in as well in third gear. Fourth now, back on the power as he hits the curves as well, heading down the long straight. We've then got turn 4 coming up next, 7th gear, not even moving to 8th until very late on, as he now hooks the car around. A lot of wheel play here from Blakely as he now makes his way down through the slalom section of turns 5, 6, 7 now coming up next, turn 8 coming up very, very shortly. He's already secured a 127.421 to his name for now, but he would like something just a little more as we now come towards the closing stages of qualifying. Turns 9 and 10 coming up next. Once again, hitting that apex on the inset of this particular corner. A 28.2 has already fallen favourable here for Lucas Blakely as he now makes his way up through towards turn 11 now, breaking in at the 50-metre board, heading up the hill now. The great ascent before you then go downhill, heading out of turn 13. They cruise around turn 14 now. Soon enough, after this long straight, hooking the car around. very nicely indeed from our current champion, as now he sends it with 37.4 in the middle sector. It's purple in the middle as well. As he heads around the final corner now, what can Blakely deliver, of course? Got a test in a GB4 car just recently. He's just about to cross the line. Can't go faster. Second, though, down to third now is certainly Barry Burman goes second fastest. Incredible, Jack.
Yeah, it's really close to so goes to fourth fastest now. He had the fastest final sector of anybody. Wilson Hughes rocketing up to the line now. He goes to fifth place right for the moment. Brendan Lee, what can he deliver here in Alfa Romeo? Goes to fourth place. And now we have the two Mercedes. Marcel Kiefer coming up to the start-finish line now. Goes to sixth fastest. Jana Watmir next to cross the line. Does he do enough? Goes to fifth fastest. Can anybody else beat him? Alfie Butcher goes to P6. Nobody can beat him. Thomas Ronar is on pole for the Bahrain Grand Prix by just a couple of hundredths of a second, backed out of that final lap. But it is Ronar who starts the season off with a bang. 300ths of a second was the gap at the very, very end, and he did it on that first run. But it is Barry Borman, the man he fought for the title last season, on the front row. Lucas Blakely and Brendan Lee line up P3 and P4. Then it's Jarno Watmir in P5, Alfie Butcher P6, Donoso, Marcel Kiefer and Wilson Hughes who set the exact same time, and Otis Lawrence in P10. How close is that? At less than a tenth between our top six, but it's just Ronar at the top once again. First race of the season, and he's got his old title rival alongside him.
Yeah, tell you what, this is exactly what stories are made of, folks. 42,000 separating Barry Burman and Thomas Ronhar. Lucas Blakely 56,000 behind. Just take a look at this though, folks. The top six all within the same tenth of a second. Incredible. 89 thousandths should I say. It's not 89 tenths, 89 thousandths between the top six. Certainly up at the very sharp end. And then, of course, you've got Donoso, Kiefer, Hughes and Otis Lawrence as well, displaying their pace there as well. Exceptional, certainly at this point. Some of the best racing, or certainly some of the best races you'll ever see, certainly to grace the world of the F1 game. And they are here tonight at PSGL, and we can celebrate. 10k live viewers here watching us. Incredible scenes. Thank you ever so much, everybody, for joining us here tonight. It's a pleasure to be here as well. We, of course, are going to have, obviously, a little break now. We're just going to take a very small commercial break, and we'll be right back. We're going to have a new lobby brewing up very soon due to those grid penalties. So keep it with us, folks. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Great to be back here as well. I hope you're all keeping well. George Morgan here and Jack Cannan bringing you all the action here at PSGL. Obviously looking forward to getting yet another season underway. But Jack, already seeing some of the bones being thrown here at this point. Thomas Ronhar back at the sharp end, of course, a position he was used to last season, but tied up with Barry Burman still. His title rival from last season, obviously eventual champion Barry Burman in PSGL last season as well. That could be a thorn in the side of the Dutchman. Is he out for redemption at this point?
Well, he certainly will be. And if you look at to make an impression on his new team, Alfa Romeo Esports as well, trying to, again, cement who's going to be the first driver, really, at Alfa Romeo. So we'll see how that goes. Barry Borman, he's won from second multiple times here in Bahrain. He has the records of the most wins in a row, I suppose, from season to season. He's done every single season opener. He started from second on most occasions and has to come away with the victory as well. You've also got Lucas Blakely starting third as well, so you have to watch out for him as well. So there's plenty of storylines. And is it favourable to be on the outside line going into turn one in Bahrain? Because he's going to have to try and close that door immediately, because Barry sees a gap, he will go for it. And we've seen that the elbows come out multiple times. We've got other storylines going on as well. We have Rasmussen starting in 15th. First of all, we have Longai starting 14th. So we'll see if they can make their way up through the order. Maybe there might be a safety car. We had a safety car in the social race. Red flags are turned off, by the way, in case everyone is wondering at home. Red flags are turned off just in case, because they are quite sensitive. But there is plenty of storylines to come in this race, and we have our heavy hitters inside that top 5 to fight out with. But do stay with us. Lobby restart is going on in the background due to the silly grid penalties that were given out right there, but we will get everything sorted. It's now in the hands of Luke Smith, who has the unenviable job of having to set the grid.
Yeah, no, he does indeed. So we're going to sit tight and wait for that to happen. So make sure you sit tight, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we could talk about some of these storylines as well, Jack, but it's great to see some of the former champions also returning too. I mean, obviously Lucas Blakely just coming back off after winning a championship. Brendan Lee hasn't won a title since 2018, which is obviously quite something. You know, obviously at this point, 4th fastest here in qualifying. I know this is going to be the topic of many a conversation. Is he back to his best?
I mean, he could be. I mean, anyone could be back to their best at this point. So we haven't quite seen the pace. We haven't seen the race pace. Qualifying is one thing. The race is a totally different thing, because we've seen guys much stronger in a race. They'll go for a race setup rather than a qualifying setup and just bank on the fact that they can bring the car through into a race situation. With again inside that top 5, could be a case that's going on as well, but it's hard to know because we haven't seen this race pace just yet, and we know that these races can get frenetic early on. Plenty jostling for position. We'll have a DRS train, we would imagine. Again, it could be slightly different, we don't know yet, and we will see it all kick off towards the end after the pit stops come in. Safety car mixed things up last time, so do not count out the possibility of safety car, because Jarno Motmir was the beneficiary of that last time. So wait and see. He went for an alternate strategy. We'll see if anybody else tries something different. You can imagine Rasmussen and Longe will try something different today. So yeah, it's teeing up to be a good one.
Yeah, I can tell you this as well. Invites are coming out, folks. So Luke Smith not wasting any time. We're just waiting on the grid now to get itself prepared, because obviously, given the fact that we're doing a lobby restart, naturally have to go through qualifying and obviously make sure that everyone is in the right order from top to bottom. So sit tight. We're going to be bringing you all the action soon enough. Obviously, we've been talking about former champions coming back, but there's also new blood coming straight back in. And whilst we've been hailing the likes of Otis Lawrence here, Jack, one special mention of Alfie Butcher as well. Obviously coming off the back of winning the PC sort of reign of challenges here this year. Obviously that is certainly a massive feat. Of course, he now qualifies for the Pro Exhibition that's coming up very soon, hoping that he'll get himself a license to contend in F1 esports now in the coming years. He's going to be in the mind's eye of many a great team, I can imagine, because certainly a reliable driver, certainly a measured character as well. Doesn't allow himself to get bitten up too much, and he's always content when he's in the rig. Looking at results such as this, starting P6 in amongst some of the best in the world, it's got to be a huge confidence booster for him and a huge marketing ploy to say, look, I'm here, I'm available, and I'm fast. You know, that he's got to be in the driving seat for a potential drive this coming season.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think as well, we say this constantly in PSGL, we can exclude Jake Benham and Danny Beresne from this conversation because, again, they're definitely part of Mercedes. They're just, again, filling other seats. But again, if you see a driver in a particular car, just keep an eye on it, because again, Alfie Butcher is driving for Haas in this, and we know that there is free seats at Haas. Matthias Van Erven has moved to Alfa Romeo as well. We have Ron moving over to Alfa Romeo, so there's 2 free seats at Haas. If I was Haas, I'd be snapping up Alfie Butcher. That's just my opinion.
I agree. I think he's definitely in with a shot, and certainly no mean feat to certainly achieve what he has done so far this season. We could yet see something a little more in the race. I mean, naturally, when it comes into this 50% opportunities as well during the pit stop phase, it opens the door for strategy. You know, and that's what these drivers will be gambling on. It's one thing to have race pace. It's another thing to utilise the strategy. Jarno Opmeer proved that point last year in F1 esports when he ran it in the USA. Did exactly the same in PSGL. If you saw the race at the USA last season, pretty much matching side by side with what happened in F1 esports. He worked in the wet weather conditions also, and that really did help his strategy going forward. And he wasn't even feeling his best that day. He was very unwell, as far as I remember, and was still able to bring his best to the table on what was a game that did not quite suit his characteristics as a driver. But I think that is certainly a time that is behind him now. He's got a great chance here on this version of the game. Let's see if he can pull something out of the bag. Great to see Wilson Hughes in the top 10 as well, Jack, because obviously McLaren losing Barry Burrowman. Naturally, they've brought in another face. obviously, given the fact that Lucas Blakely and Wilson Hughes are tied up together for this season at McLaren, great litmus test here for Wilson Hughes to see what he can do as they head into yet another season of F1 esports. You know, he showed last season that he's capable in PSGL. You've got to throw his hat in the ring for F1 esports as well.
Yeah, you absolutely do. I mean, even getting through to Q3 was a solid endorsement of Wilson Hughes' pace as well. Before he was, of course, part of that McLaren, we saw him perform here in PCF1. McLaren watched that and saw how he performed, and that was a big element in getting him into that third seat in McLaren. He played an integral part of that McLaren Constructors victory in F1 esports, of course, supporting Barry, supporting Lucas in the setup development and all that kind of thing. But this is his chance now to get himself into that full-time seat, because, of course, McLaren have just re-signed Danny Moreno back into McLaren as well. But at the moment, you would imagine Wilson Hughes keeps performing like this, that full-time seat is his, and you'd imagine, and again, from his performances so far in last season and this season, he's certainly earned that seat. But it will be a case now, will he play? I'm sure, again, the team chemistry is very good at McLaren. But will he play that second fiddle now he gets that full-time seat?
I can tell you as well that we got an active member in the live chat. He's probably listening to every word we're saying as well here. George Simmons standing by
yes.
in the live chat as well, listening to every word we're saying. And he's absolutely right. Did see your comment there, George? Obviously talking about how competitive it's going to be this year. Let's see what happens. Wilson Hughes in the live chat as well saying, let's go, Wilson, let's go. Great to see you, Wilson. Hope you're keeping well. Best of luck when we go racing as well. So, hey guys, seeing as we're all going to be here, we might as well start talking predictions, I think, for this particular one. Obviously, given the fact that we've sorted the grid the way it is, obviously at the very top, Ron Hire is going to be on pole, Barry alongside him, Lucas on the second row alongside Brendan Lee, and then you've got the likes of Marcel Kiefer, Jana Watmere down the bottom half as well. Obviously P5 downwards, Alfie Butcher in P6. You've then got Donoso in the mix, who looks to be back to some sort of reasonable best. Let's hear from you guys in the live chat. Who is going to win this Bahrain Grand Prix? Jack, have you got a view?
Tough one, because we've seen this multiple times with Ron taking pole, but he hasn't managed to convert on a lot of those occasions. Barry, when he starts second, tends to ultimately come out on top there. So with statistics-wise, I would sort of go with Barry on this. Also, I keep repeating it, he's won every single season opener since the beginning of this championship, so it's hard to bet against him. Lucas Blakely has history here in Bahrain as well. He's taken a victory here before, as has Jarno. So, or could we see a different winner? I mean, there's a couple of other drivers down there. You've got Marcel Kiefer. Again, that's a big turnaround for him as well, for Marcel Kiefer, because he was knocked out, I think, in Q1 in the social race, was Marcel Kiefer. So now gets himself through and is sharing, or at least within a couple of hundredths of Jarno Watmere straight away. That's a big confidence boost for him going forward as well. There's a couple of other names in there that we've got to watch as well. I mean, John Evans starting P11 has the free tyre choice. We'll see if that works for him or not, but he can be very happy with how his pace has gone so far. Rasmussen starting 15th, Longue starting 14th. There's a lot to unpack here. But I think if I was to go there's sort of maybe two dark horses for me, George. One of them is Alfie Butcher, starting P6. The other one is Brendan Lee. Now, it's hard to call Brendan Lee an underdog, but it's been a while since we've seen Brendan Lee perform at this level early on in the season. So I'm watching Brendan Lee like a hawk here.
I think you have to. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, he's been there and done it, Jack. No matter what version of the game we're talking about, whether it's 2017-18, whether it's 2023, naturally, it's a fresh, clean slate for everybody at this stage. Brendan Lee displaying the pace that certainly shows that he has every right to be part of this season's championship, to be part of the top 10 in a grid such as this, with time gaps and delta like this. He absolutely deserves everything he's achieved. We will be getting back underway, folks. We appreciate your patience. Obviously, given the fact we had to do a lobby restart due to the glitches of the 5-place grid penalty, we, of course, have had to take time in making sure that's correct for the restart.
We are starting now.
We are starting now. We have got the timer ticking down. So do sit tight, folks. We will be bringing the lobby very shortly. Just stay with us, and we will be bringing it to you just a matter of seconds away. But yes, let us know in the live chat who you think is going to claim victory here at Bahrain. We want to hear from you. Make sure you fill up that live chat. Let us know, and we'll read out some of the comments as well. But a big thank you to everyone who's tuned in and become part of this historic, record-breaking night that has seen us break the live viewers record. 10,000 people joined us earlier on as well. Big thank you to everybody who's got involved. We're going to be going racing now ever so shortly. Just waiting for the drivers to ready up. Apparently someone has been very clever and decided to stop the timer. So yeah, that's brilliant. So now we're gonna start now. The timer's ticking down now. The final 20 seconds. They keep messing about with it. How brilliant is this? Danny Barejne just flicking the ready sign on and off. As we're now waiting for them to obviously join the lobby. Jack, one final time, elude us as to what your prediction is.
I'm gonna go with a Barry win. I'm going to go Ronar second, and I'm going to go with Brendan Lee third. That's my prediction.
Well, there we are. That's the prediction from Jack Kinnan. Let's see if it pays off, folks. We will, of course, revisit it at the very end, but a big thank you to everyone. We got views. Oh, Alfie. We've got Burman as well on the list as well. So Jarno Cookmere says Trolls. We've got Let's Go Jarno says Ghost Fjord. Barry Burman says Saven. We've also got further down Toby Dixon Smith saying Goatmere. We've got Marcel Clear as well. We got Jarno for the W says Lorenzo Colombo. Many others as well. Joshua is saying Jarno gonna win, I think. Further down Kiefer as well says Tilo Schumacher. We've got Goatmere from Biscuit Noodle. Cracking name that. Looking further down, George Morgan, of course, I'd agree. Yeah, I'm going to win that. Wilson Hughes, baby, says Jay Lucas. I'm sure he'd be delighted to hear that. Wilson for the win, says Jay. Big thank you for that. Everybody keep them coming. We're going to move ahead now and onwards to the race very, very shortly. Stay tuned with us. And very soon we will be bringing you the formation lap to get matters underway. But nevertheless, with certainly conditions being not an issue when it comes to Bahrain, given the fact it's a sandy circuit, a desert track as well. Don't really see the rain coming into races such as this, given the fact the conditions are generally dry anyway. So never a concern. But we're going to sit tight now and get ready for the lobby to start. But great to see certainly all the fans back, Jack. No better feeling than to be back here at PSGL.
Certainly is, and on a record-breaking day as well. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for staying with us for that rather long intermission. But we are waiting. The countdown timer is currently on inside the lobby. Well, not inside the lobby, but inside the game here. We're waiting for all the drivers to get their tyres on and get onto the formation lap as well, which is something that we're glad that we can have back, is the formation lap. We didn't have it all last season, but the drivers are now rolling off of the grid for the formation lap. Let's have a look and see if anybody else has gone alternate strategy. Yes, the Alfa Romeos have gone totally different. They've both gone medium tyres, and I'm liking the look of a hard-charging Freddie Rasmussen who's opted for soft tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. A little split, a little divide. Freddie going for softs. How interesting. You wouldn't generally see that, certainly in a 15% race complexion. Whether that's an error from Freddie, I'm not quite sure. But at this point, we've got a large conglomerate going for hards with two drivers opting for the mediums, and that being both the Alfa Romeos. Anything in that, Jack?
I mean, it's clearly a team tactic, the two of them going together on the same strategy, so this will be interesting. Brendan Lee going for those mediums. He wants to try and get in front of both Blakely and Boremand, and then we'll see how it's going to work. But I'm very intrigued to see how Freddie Rasmussen is going to get on those softs, because they are not going to last at all. But he may as well try something different for this one. So let's see. So Rasmussen on a totally outrageous strategy there in there, but Ronar will lead us away. Boremand is going to need to work hard here. He's on the hard tyres. You've got Ronar on the medium. So again, that start he may... If he does manage to get in front, ideal, but I think he'll already have lost that start. Blakely as well needs to try and fend off Brendan Lee behind as well, but Brendan will be basically attacking early on to try and get in front of Boremand and Blakely as we head towards the flag. But Jarno Watmere, Alfie Butcher, P5, P6, Donoso, Kiefer, Hughes and Otis Lawrence, your top 10 here. And a hard-charging Freddie Rasmussen starting in P15 on soft tyres. He is going to be basically charging through like a rocket ship in the early part, but those tyres will fall off quite significantly early on. So let's see how many places he can gain. But a new season, a new era about to begin here in PSGL. Thomas Ronar, the first pole position of F123 in PSGL, alongside him his old championship rival Barry Boremand, and right behind them a champion from 2 seasons ago, Lucas Blakely. So Boremand and Blakely, the latest champions. Brendan Lee, 2-time F1 Esports champion, starts P4, and Jarno Watmere, 2-time PSGL champion, lining up in P5. So much to go here, 29 laps ahead of us, and we're all set to go.
Yeah, we are. Get ready. The folks at home, the car's now lining up. 3 former champs in 5, 6 and 7. Oh, sorry, 3, 4, 5, should I say. And then, of course, Barry Burham and Thomas Ronard together on the front row. Here we go for the start of the brand new season, season 34. Here come the lights. 4 lights and the 5th light. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 and Thomas Ronard leads the way, but what about Barry Burham? Inside line, he has the line, heading through towards turn 1. Brendan Lee also sticking his nose in, an outside view from Lucas Blakely as well, as they come through turns 2 and turns 3. It's Barry Burham who now leads, with Brendan Lee hot in behind him as well. There's Burham to the inside of turn 4. Thomas Ronard also there as well, trying to fend off Lucas Blakely, as they now peel through the first sector now, but it's Barry Burham who leads at the start. Ronhar getting mugged, moves down to P4.
That is a shocker of a start for Ronhar. What a start from Burham. Absolutely nailed it. And now Lucas Blakely gets in front of Ronhar. He's up for P3. But Brendan Lee right behind Burham here as they come down to the break. It's over Ronhar. That is a shocker of a start on those medium tyres. Did not make good use of them. Brendan Lee certainly did though. In fact, early on, turn number 1, Alfa Romeo's made contact. So that was our early stages between the teammates, but it is Barry Burham got the epic start towards turn 1 and now leads the Bahrain Grand Prix. Brendan Lee though chasing him down on the mediums. You'd expect this to be a move, but there's problems further down for Luke Smith. He's facing the wrong way in the last sector. Nicholas Longue did not get a good start there. Marcel Kiefer's had a shocker as well. P13 for him. Rasmussen up 4 places though. He's up to P11 and continues to charge, but I feel now this could be the move coming up shortly now. Brendan Lee on the attack on Barry Burham. The first race of the season, the first lap of the season in his new team, but Burham will not want to give him that, and he'll try and stick behind and save ERS for the moment. But there goes Rasmussen. Goes by Wilson Hughes for the moment as we watch in the background here. Lucas Blakely though fancies a chance, trying to keep an eye on everything here, but Lee hangs on for the moment. Ronhar back on the attack now, and Lucas Blakely side by side towards turn number 3. Side by side between the two contenders. Blakely on the inside, Ronhar on the outside on the mediums, tries to make it work on the outside line. Blakely leaves him just enough room to work with on the outside, and Ronhar goes through on the outside. Great move.
Yeah, splendid move there from Thomas Ronhar, managing to recover the 3rd place that he of course lost, but he lost 2 other places apart from that as well. John Evans battling with Shanaka Clay as well further down. They're moving side by side, heading through towards turn 8. The Aston Martin trying to creep through as he now battles with that of Shanaka as part of the Williams Esports team. They remain side by side through the tricky turns 9 and 10. Shanaka Clay trying to hold on to that inner big piece of road, able to do so unbelievably. He couldn't do that on last year's game. Side by side they remain. 3 wide, heading down through now towards turn 11, as in comes now as well Danny Berejne, who now looks to bring himself into the mix as well. Moves up a spot as Shanaka loses out on 2 places, Jack Canan.
Yeah, Nicholas Longue is down in 19th now as well. He's had a shocker of a start. He started 15th and he drops even further down, further behind. Rasmussen, though, on those softs, he's now P8, so he's making good progress. But again, Luke Smith, huge penalty coming through right there. He's off the road in a big way in sector number 2. Now, I don't see a safety car deployed, but he's pulled off the road there out in the 2nd sector. No sign of any safety car, and that is the first retirement of the season for Luke Smith. Not what he wanted. DRS enabled now on this lap. Barry Burham has done everything spot on correct so far. Took the lead on the hards and has now got Brendan Lee and Thomas Ronhar chasing him down behind with DRS. So it'll be difficult to keep them behind, but the longer he can stay in front, the easier it'll be later on for Barry Burham. Again, he wants a chance to recharge the RS2. Doesn't want to stay in front for too long. But the longer he can keep the medium guys behind, the less effective those tyres will be. Lucas Blakely getting really out of shape going through behind Ronhar there. Jarno Watmere, exactly where he started. P5 is held position and is doing a nice job there in front. Alfie Butcher has dropped to P9. Caraton is now P7. Denosa running a solid P6 here in Bahrain. Lap 3 of 29. Still plenty to happen here in this early stage, but it is fascinating to see Brendan Lee chasing down his old team here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got to say, it's looking really promising here for Brendan Lee. Of course, two-time champion in F1 Esports, as we alluded to, and also a former league racing champion as well, but yet to win a title at PSGL. So could yet be a chance here for him as well. It's now Freddie Rasmussen once again showing on the back of Caraton for that 7th place. Wilson Hughes has gained a few places too. He's currently down in 10th. Of course, been fighting it out with Alfie Butcher further up. Those two will know each other reasonably well as they make their way down the straight now. Brendan Lee breaking out of the slipstream of that of Barry Burman as they head down through towards turn 1. Brendan Lee makes the move, makes it stick, secures it as well. Freddie Rasmussen also looking to make moves too on Caraton as they run side by side through turn 1. It's Rasmussen on top here and certainly marches his way through the classification, the fastest man on track after nestling the fastest lap of the race the previous lap round.
Absolutely. Brendan Lee back to the front end once again here in PSGL, and we'll see now if he can hold that position. He's on the mediums again, so he has the tyre advantage over Borman in this early phase of the Grand Prix. One man who's on an absolute charge though, Rasmussen down the inside of Donoso as Otis Lawrence has had a spin further down the order there, has not had a good start to this season, unfortunately. But Rasmussen, again, those tyres are not going to last as he has a little bit of a moment going through. You get got a punt in the rear from Caraton going through that corner as well, because Alfie Butcher's on the attack at the same time. Lots going on around the circuit here, but Rasmussen desperate. He has to make these work. He cannot afford to lose places on these tyres so early on, because they're going to fall off a cliff very quickly. About P7, started P15 I think it was. So has still got a lot of work to do, and we'll see how he makes it work. It may not be the fastest strategy, but again, if a safety car comes out at the right moment, it can certainly work for him. Lap 4 of 29. Brendan Lee leads a lap here around Bahrain. Thomas Ronar chasing down Barry Borman, who sits second right now. I feel like Ronar may be on the way to make the move here up towards turn 1, but no, Borman just doing enough. He's going to swap places with Brendan Lee. He'll be back to the lead then for Barry Borman. Here comes Ronar now, fancying his chances down the inside. Remember, these two came together before, and it's now Ronar with the double move to the inside. Will now try to fend off Borman to the outside line here. Brendan Lee fancies the chance as well. Upmere's on the attack here. Here comes Jan Upmere. We're 3 wide towards turn 4. Borman's on the outside on the hard tyres. Brendan Lee on the inside of the mediums. Ronar's in the middle as well. 3 wide we go. Still 3 wide with Upmere on the outside, heading towards turn 5. They sort themselves out, and somehow Borman has come through that in front of all of them. Blakely's back down the inside of the two of them. Blakely on the inside of Upmere. Upmere back around the outside of Brendan Lee. Remember, these two fought for the title before as well. But it's Borman who's still in the lead here after that crazy exchange. It's still Borman, Ronar, Lee, Upmere and Blakely. That's brought everybody into play right now, including Freddie Rasmussen.
And Fabrizio Donoso is also coming in as well, attacking Lucas Blakely around turn 10. Could not make the move, but a scintillating effort. Nevertheless, Barry Burman retaking the lead of the race, with Ronar in behind him as well after that desperate lunge through towards turn 1. He pulled it off, all the cars getting through unscathed. Brendan Lee losing out majorly in that fray. 2 places lost, but we've still got a long way to go. We're only on lap 5. Can you believe it now as Freddie Rasmussen looks to make a charge, breaking out of the dirty air there with Fabrizio Donoso as they head through the final 2 corners here on lap 5 of 29. More to come, folks. I can bet your bottom dollar on it. Freddie now charging already as he now looks to make his move for the lead as well. There could be a swap. Enter now Thomas Ronar and Brendan Lee together. The 2 teammates, they're meant to be on the same team, but Lee retakes the lead advantage now ahead of teammate Thomas Ronar. It is now a scrap between 2 of last year's championship contenders, Ronar and Burman, coming together again.
You can't keep up with what's going on around the circuit here. Brendan Lee, Thomas Ronar swapping places there, and Borman gets shuffled back to 3rd. Upmere made the move on Lucas Blakely as well for P4 and P5, the 2 former PSGL champions, 2 former F1 Esports champions as well, the reigning one. Freddie Rasmussen made the move on Fabrizio Donoso. He now sits in P6. Lots going on, but again, plenty of 3 wide action. But again, Brendan Lee, Thomas Ronar leading the race there. This is what they wanted. I sort of at the end of lap 1, but they've had to fight really hard to get up here now. So Brendan Lee leads the Grand Prix ahead of Thomas Ronar, ahead of Barry Borman, and ahead of Jarno Upmere, who now sits in P4. Donoso sitting P6 right behind Freddie Rasmussen. How much tyre life is left in those soft tyres? 6 laps old now, and I'm sure they're probably all getting close to past their best already. And we will see how things are going to go, but plenty of swapping going on. We didn't see this much side by side on the previous game. This is encouraging. This is what we like to see. Early racing, early hard racing between the top runners here. Out of the final corner, Brendan Lee leads, but I think Ronar will swap with him here as they head down towards turn 1, but watch out for Borman with the 3 wide. We've seen 3 wide already. Here comes Ronar on Brendan Lee for the race. They'll swap positions. Will Borman fancy a chance here? Lee goes defensive. Borman has a look on the inside in towards turn 1. Opens the steering, runs Lee out of room on the way through turn 2. Through he goes. Now Otmir might get a chance at the switch back here because Blakely with the double overtake. Opportunistic as you like. That is wonderful from the reigning F1 Esports champion. Sensed it, got it through, and is now P3.
Fantastic move from Lucas Blakely. Jarno Otmir also looking to make moves himself as well. They head into the slalom section now. There is literally cars with fragments in between them. The Flying Dutchman now goes hunting. Will he cut to the inside? He's going to hang around the outside and switch through. Heading out of turn 8. Turn 9 and 10 to come next. 2 former champions coming together now. 2-time champions. It's Lee and Otmir now cemented together in 4th and 5th. What a scrap in this top 5 place. This is why we love F1 Esports League racing as well, folks. Sensational stuff here at PSGL.
Absolutely, this is crazy race. We never had this much action up at the top end in the early phases of Grand Prix here in PSGL or in F1 Esports even. Usually this is a DRS train for the first half of the race. We have not had a moment to breathe since lap number 1. Lap 7 at 29. Ronar now with a half-second gap over Borman. That's probably the largest gap we've seen so far up at the front end. Plenty still going on behind. Big moment for Ronar coming out of the final corner though. Got on the power a little bit too early, but I sense like Lucas Blakely would fancy his chance getting past Borman if he can get close enough. Down towards turn 1 they come. Borman with the big lunge on the inside. Will he think about it? No, he won't go for it. Blakely has a late look. Gets into the back of Borman. In towards turn 1. More contact made. Denopso and Caraton are going at it behind as well. You can't keep your eyes off anything here, but there was contact between the two there. Blakely just weaving back and forth, not too displeased with that, but Otmir goes by. Brendan Lee side by side between these two, the two-time champs in F1 Esports. Brendan Lee side by side with Otmir, and Brendan Lee holds on to the position right now, but that contact between the two there has given Ronar just a tiny bit of breathing space there. Blakely just had a tiny look on the inside, was tiny bit late, but it was, again, they kept going. That's the main thing, but 0.6 of a second now. Tiny bit of breathing room for Ronar to work with now.
Yeah, absolutely. Jarno Otmir currently in 5th, was challenging Brendan Lee. Nearly made the move stick, but they nearly went through side by side into the slalom section. Would not recommend that. Even on this build of the game, it's tricky. Marcel Kiefer bringing himself into the mix as well. We saw Wilson Hughes scrapping it out earlier on. Jake Benham having a really hard time at the helm of Marcel Kiefer now, as Nicholas Longue, who looks to recover here, is now battling with Shanaka Clay as they now make their way into Sector 3. And it will be Longue who now gets ahead of Shanaka now, moves into 16th place. Chasing after Danny Berejne, of course, former teammate to that of Brendan Lee at Mercedes years ago, as now we see them make their way down the straight once again. Up at the sharp end though, you cannot take your eyes off the top. Rodnar now starting to split away from that of Buraman. Naturally, you can understand that he might want to put a little gap in between them here. Jarno Otmir also looking to make moves as well, as Alfie Butcher, who also looks to make a move too. Jarno Otmir now looking to defend against Brendan Lee. Side by side they remain now. Lee trying to hug the inside. That'll become the outside, and Otmir now retaining P4.
Great move around the outside. Brendan Lee gave him enough respect around the outside to leave him the space, and Otmir goes through to P4 right now, so he's in good shape. Still has around about, let's have a look and see what the ERS is like. 38% for Otmir, Blakely on 37. Barry Borman, he's doing a good job though. He's saving behind, 60% ERS. Ronar has got 43, so Barry has the most ERS out of our top guys at the moment. Well, I say that, Fabrizio Donoso sitting there with about 80%. He's been sitting there just saving his ERS for this whole time, and actually has the most out of these guys up at the front end, as there's a little bit of contact further. I think that was Jake Ben and Marcel Kiefer getting a little bit close for comfort with each other there. But Rasmussen, his pace in the softs has disappeared because they've fallen off the cliff, but he's doing a good job to stay in there. But Donoso, watching in the wings, 80% DRS compared to everybody else in front of him. But Barry Borman sitting pretty on those hards. This is a classic display. He fought hard, has held track position, and has stayed with the medium runners and caused them a nuisance enough that they used up their tyres.
Yeah, and of course Fabrizio Donoso, former race winner in PSGL, and would very much like to take himself back to the top as well. Into the pit lane comes Brendan Lee. Interesting call. Lap 10. In comes the box already for the man on the medium tyres. Now they can generally, I think, go a little bit longer than that, but certainly they can fall off quite rapidly at the same time. So whether he feels that he's used them all, obviously he's been in the midst of squabbling with the likes of Jarno Watmir, not to mention his own teammate Thomas Ronhaar too, as we can now see the cars making their way down. Marcel Kiefer now looking to make a charge here on Dylan Warren as they look to come together as well. Dylan Warren, of course, teammates with Jake Benham here this season, gets himself ahead there of Marcel Kiefer, the German, unable to get himself ahead of Dylan Warren at this point. Got to give Warren credit here, Jack. Very difficult qualifying session, but P11 despite the 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, he's done well to get back up there, but very interesting call from Brendan Lee there, because this means that Freddie has managed to go longer on those soft tyres compared to Brendan, who started on the medium tyres. So Freddie the tyre whisperer, is that what's going on here, that he's hanging on to these guys with all of this, with the tyre disadvantage here, or has Brendan just gone super early on these mediums? You'd imagine the latter, that he's gone super late. But in that regard, Freddie Rasmussen's call to go on the softs doesn't seem like a bad idea, does it? It's worked so far.
Well, he hasn't decided to box either, which is incredible. You would have expected anyone to box first. It would have been Freddie, but he hasn't. I think he's just been managing. He's been managing it, staying behind the runners up at the front end. Obviously made a couple of places. He's now into the top 10. Remember, he did not get out of Q2. Did not get into Q3 whatsoever. So he'll no doubt choose to box onto the hard set of tyres. More cars coming into the pit lane now, and that's Thomas Ronhaar choosing to come into box as well. So there we go. Big changes already at Alfa Romeo, who are now looking to pit early. Lucas Blakely having a look for the lead on his former teammate Barry Burman, who still leads this race now here in lap 11 of 29. Jarno Watmir now in third. Donoso in fourth as well, also having a good race. I tell you what, Jack, this offers every chance of being a classic. Here comes Blakely now, inside line, takes the lead away from his teammate from last season. Barry Burman reduced a second, and now as they storm through the middle sector here in lap 11, it's Blakely on top.
Yeah, and Ronhaar's managed to maintain track position over his teammate Brendan Lee, but this is interesting because those guys both pitted very early, and Freddie is still hanging on to the back of these guys on soft tyres, 11-lap-old soft tyres, and he doesn't seem to be falling off at all. He seems to be going quicker and staying with these guys. So this is a very interesting strategy now. We have with the two alphas now together, clean air, and they're out with each other as well. This is good. This is good practice for them to run with each other and see what they can do. But Lucas Blakely back at the front in Bahrain. He's won here before with his old teammate right behind him in the form of Barry Burman. Jarno Watmir in there as well, P3 for Fabrizio Donoso, and Alvaro Carreton. He's always there, isn't he? Alvaro Carreton, just every single season, Mr. Consistent, always up inside those points in the early phases. But let's see, does the hard runs are going to have to go longer, of course, because the two alphas started on the medium tyres. Any sign of Freddie coming in? Yes, in comes Freddie Rasmussen from P7, and he managed to go longer than the two medium runners on the set of soft tyres. So in comes Freddie. We'll go on to the set of the hard tyres, and again, a good idea for them. Nicolas Longue has also decided to pit, and he's gone on to medium tyres, interestingly enough. So different strategy there. The two alphas will work together, of course, as they come down towards turn number 1. They'll swap position. Here's Brendan Lee. We'll get the move done on his teammate there. They'll get in front of Freddie Rasmussen, but we'll see now how Freddie can do from there, because he hasn't done a bad job at all on those tyres. So lap 12:29, still a ways to go. And I think it's finally settled down. It's given us a chance to breathe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's sensational. Credit to the Alfa Romeo team for making that major decision. They were the only drivers to stump up onto the medium tyres as such, really stepping up. I think there were 3 in total. I mean, you could factor in those in 19th, that being John Evans as well, who boxed onto the mediums. But certainly from the very get-go, it would be Brendan Lee and Thomas Ronhaar who would move on to the medium tyres for the start of the race. The only two to do so. Let's see if this strategy pays off for them here. They're currently sat 15th and 16th as we're looking at them. Obviously, further up at the sharp end, Donoso getting himself closer and closer to the back of Jarno Watmir as well. The Dutchman currently sat in 3rd place, trying to close up to Barry Burman. All these drivers now from P1 all the way down to P14 on the hard compound tyres, as now we're seeing them make their way through towards turn 14 and turn 15 as well, as they make their way now across the line. Chance now for Donoso, who looks very close to the back of the Flying Dutchman's car. Another car in the pits, none other than Wilson Hughes. Boxing now off the hards. An early call as Jarno now goes defensive heading in towards turn 1. A brave call. Donoso, the Chilean, might choose to tee up a move heading through towards turn 4. Now might be the time, because obviously they need to usher in quick laps as Brendan Lee sets the fastest lap of the race. Now it's integral for the two Alfa Romeos to put in some burner laps, so when the others come into box, they can then storm up a dramatic undercut. Can that work, Jack?
Well, see, I think it will work. With the undercut, it will work, but they're sacrificing tyre life later on for track position. So the rest of these guys will stay out longer. They'll have the fresher tyres, but the Alphas will have track position. So let's wait and see how this works. This is fascinating, but I'm liking the look at Donoso. He's still got plenty of ERS to work with here. He looks like he is on the attack here, and we'll see how he gets on here. He's found his stride towards the end of the last game cycle. He's now right up behind Jarno Watmere here. These two have fought each other so many times as well across the years. But out front, lap 13 of 29, getting close to the halfway point now. Lucas Blakely still leading. So he's led the most laps so far as I can see. We've had that many lead changes. Borman's still sitting in second. Jarno Watmere now in third, 6/10 back. He's got Donoso, Caraton and Alfie Butcher behind. Jake Benham does not have DRS on these guys, so he's sort of left on his own. As they come across the start-finish line to begin lap 14, in comes Borman. He's responding. They see that Alpha are going quickly. They need to respond.
Yeah, they certainly do. In he comes now. Medium tyre stint under preparation now. There you can see the garage pit crews at work, replacing the compounds. Medium tyres now strapped to Barry Burman's car. Now let's see where Ron Haar is. There you can see a scrap as well. Otis Lawrence has come to join them as they make their way through the fog exterior of this Bahrain circuit. They squeeze Otis Lawrence now. Does Thomas Ron Haar, as now they all come out of the pit lane. Where are they going to be coming out now? Of course, we've got Burman now making his way out onto the track, and the Alphas have got them here, Jack. But look at this, that's not the story, because Otis Lawrence is scrapping with them. He's banging wheels there with Brendan Lee and Thomas Ron Haar. This is on-site bullying now between the Alfa Romeos and the Red Bull as they now come through turn 4 now, side by side, 3 wide through the slalom. No chance, but it is Brendan Lee as their runner goes side by side with Lawrence. They spun! Oh my goodness me!
Does this remind you of last season at all?
It does.
This is exactly what happened last season, but it ends in Ron Haar facing the wrong way. Otis Lawrence and Thomas Ron Haar have collided, and Ron Haar falls down the order, and that has gifted Borman the chance now, but it's 4 seconds to the good. But George Rasmussen, look at him, he's on the back of Borman. Remember, these totally different strategy. He's on the hard tyres now, Longuet chasing him, but Otis Lawrence has again raced these guys super hard and has now ended up with Ron Haar facing the wrong way. This is exactly what happened last season. Remember, Dylan Warren holding up the championship contender in Ron Haar, but this time it ended him facing the wrong way, and that has caused now a spate the pit stops. Lucas Blakely, Donoso, Benham and Shanaka Clay are all now in the pits to fit on the set of tyres. I'm fascinated where they're going to come out right now, because Brendan Lee is in the hot seat, 4.5 seconds to the good. Donoso got a tiny bit held in pit lane there, down towards turn 1. Then Lee will take the net race lead, but look now, Blakely, where does he come out? He's got to be fighting with Borman here. It's going to be super tight. Where does he slot in towards turn 1? He's got Borman just in front. Rasmussen on his outside as well through turn 2. He won't have the tyre temperature, but he just hangs on for the moment. Down towards turn 4 they come again, fighting super hard. Blakely has managed to just slot in between. There wasn't even a gap there, and he managed to get himself in between, but that has now brought Freddie Rasmussen into the fight for a podium somehow.
Yeah, it certainly has. Wilson Hughes also looking to make moves this time on Dylan Warren as they come together again. Of course, these two youngsters that are looking to make a charge in the world of esports. Warren managing to get ahead there of Hughes as they make their way out of the middle sector now. And a big thank you, everybody. 30,000 subscribers. You guys are sensational. Thank you all so much for all your support, as now we're seeing the drivers make their way, heading out to the final, well, in the middle sector, coming out of turn 10 and towards turn 11. A sensational display by many of the best drivers you'll see in the world of esports, certainly in F1, as now we see Wilson Hughes peel up through turn 12 and 13, coming through this next right-hander now. A sensational, certainly, display from many of the best here, as there we see the story formulate. Brendan Lee leading taking the net lead of the race with Burman right behind him. It throws up such a tasty finish, Jack Kinnan.
And we haven't even talked about the man who's currently leading the race, Jarno Watmir. He's continued out on the hards. He didn't go with anybody else. He's decided to stay out. Mercedes thinking about something else here. They want tyre life towards the end as Blakely and Boromand now fighting each other. Blakely making the move on Boromand. Through he goes into what is net P2. These guys, they need to work together. They know each other very well, but they know that they need to work together to catch up to Brendan Lee because Brendan has got basically no ERS. They've got to close that gap as there's continued to be more scrapping, hard scrapping further down between Donoso and Wilson Hughes, who are going side by side through turn 4 and turn 5. Donoso's got the move done into P13 for the moment they go, but Blakely and Brendan Lee now 3 seconds of the difference. Blakely with the fastest first sector of anybody so far, and they'll be trying to just close up that gap to Brendan Lee. And of course Brendan pitted earlier, will not have the tyre life towards the end, but you've got now, this is really teeing up to be something special. But I'm amazed, what a call from Freddie Rasmussen to go to the softs, and has now come out in this fight for what is net P4, P5. He started 15th.
Incredible stuff indeed. Freddie Rasmussen doing a stellar job as well. Keep your eyes peeled on him, folks. Currently trying to move up on Barry Burman here for that 8th place. I'm looking further up as well. Danny Berejne getting close to Marcel Kiefer. Jarno Watmir still hasn't pounced. There is the Flying Dutchman, ladies and gentlemen, as now we're seeing them come together again. Certainly Kiefer now, I think, coming into the box and coming up towards his garage and pit crew now, taking off those hard tyres and on go the mediums. But I think Brendan Lee is going to have his number. The net leader of the race, though, Lucas Blakely taking the fastest lap. So many puzzle pieces starting to come together here on lap 17 of 29. It's far from over, ladies and gentlemen. It's far from over.
Yeah, and they're absolutely flying up to the back of Brendan Lee here as well. But do you know what I'm thinking? Right, I have a feeling, could Jarno go on the softs at the end?
There's a chance.
We saw how far Freddie managed to bring them last time. If he gets these hard tyres a couple of laps more, I reckon Jarno's going to go soft tyres. And, well, we've seen how that ends before with Jarno on softs, charging up through these guys. Let's wait and see. But this is fascinating, this race. We've got Brendan Lee on hards. We've got Lucas Blakely and Barry Borman on the mediums. Freddie's on the hards as well. We've got Jarno still out there on the hard tyres. Freddie managed to bring those soft tyres about 11 or 12 laps or so, and we're approaching lap 18 of 29. So this will be mental as well. What I'm also looking at is Nicholas Longuet in the mix as well on those mediums, keeping an eye on what he's going to do. Alfie Butcher as well. He's again, not out of the question either. They're carrying on, and I reckon that they've seen what Freddie's done on those softs. I feel we're going to see them come out towards the end, but how far will they come out? As Danny Berejne, he's the first of the hard runners then to peel in. Compared to these guys, Barry pitted super early off of those hard compound tyres. He had to respond, and it'll now be the medium tyres for Danny Berejne as they cross the line. And there goes Blakely, takes the net race lead away from Brendan Lee.
Yeah, it certainly does. Has managed to gain on the two-time champion and make the move, execute now. And last year's champion, the current F1 Esports champion now, the net leader of this race now here. P4 as a whole now as Donoso coming together this time with Nicholas Longuet makes his way through towards turn 4. Donoso securing that position in P9 as well as he looks to try and climb and chase after Alvaro Caraton here in lap 18 of 29. Action-packed across this circuit. Moves being made left, right and centre. The grid now starting to formulate as now Blakely has broken DRS on Brendan Lee, Jack Canan.
Yeah, Barry's going to go for the move. He needs to get by Brendan Lee here, and he does, but the DRS has been broken. Blakely is charging away. That was a perfect call from Blakely to make the move when he did this. The gap is now 1.6 seconds, and Blakely now is going to be in that box seat now. Barry's going to have to work very hard to get back up to him here, but perfect move from Lucas Blakely to do it when he did, and he set the fastest middle sector of anybody so far as well. So there is lots to happen here, but Jarno Watmir, Alfie Butcher, Patrick Sipos, they have not pitted yet, and in comes Jarno Watmir then from the race lead, keeping an eye on those tyre compounds. What is he going to go with? He's going to go for the mediums, not going to go softs, but he will have the freshest tyres of anybody on the grid, and we'll see how far he can get himself up. But he's going to drop down behind all of these guys, so a big ask for Jarno Watmir to come back from here, but we've seen him do it before, and we haven't, again, ruled out the possibility of a late safety car. Could throw everything up in the air here. He's going to come out P12 just in front, behind his teammate and behind Ronar, so again, a big ask for Jarno to do it here, but Kiefer and Ron are getting in front of him there, so big task ahead of Jarno Watmir now. Again, a safety car wouldn't go astray here, but he's down in P14, needs a lot to happen in front, but Blakely now 1.4 seconds out in front. I mean, it's going to be a dogged fight between the two former teammates, but Borman needs to get back in that DRS, but we know how good Lucas Blakely is at managing.
Certainly do. And tell you another man who's having a very interesting race is Alvaro Caraton, who sells the dummy to Fabrizio Donoso, who loses a lot of ground around turn 10. A major moment, and Caraton, as a response, is now charging on Freddie Rasmussen here now. Makes his way through towards turn 11. There you can see Brendan Lee further up as well, obviously part of this contingent. Currently sat in third place. Freddie Rasmussen in behind him as well in fourth as well. Caraton nursing his car along, 0.2 of a second now between them now. There you can see Freddie still currently sat in fourth place, but Caraton starting to get closer. A flash of the light on the back of Rasmussen's car. Now this could mean that he might need a little bit of battery, a little bit of help. Caraton right behind him though might make the most of this. Has now head out of turn 13 and 14 and now 15 as well. Caraton executing the move down the long straight here. In comes now the Williams driver. Of course a race winner, a former race winner. He's going to take two. He's taken two. Caraton overtaking Freddie Rasmussen and Brendan Lee, and Rasmussen as a response having a go at Brendan Lee as well.
Donoso now found the attack on Rasmussen on the outside line, opportunistic as you like, tries to close the door, going to go for the move as well on Brendan Lee on the inside as well through turn 4, and he's done it. Fabrizio Donoso from 2 car lengths back has got the job done on both of them, and now moves up into P4, chasing after Alvaro Caraton, but it's all sort of fallen apart for Brendan Lee in this late phase of the race, but what a job he's done so far to hold on even to that position. But now Lucas Blakely, I think he's comfortable out front, 2 seconds almost the gap right now. Made that move at a crucial time, and his old teammate Barry Borman is chasing him down in P2, but needs something drastic to happen for anything to change up the front. But managing that gap beautifully now with just a couple of laps left on the clock here in Bahrain, but there could still be a few late twists as Alfie Butcher and Jarno Watmir now side by side through the fast right. That's a tricky place to go side by side. Jarno makes his way through, and now the two Mercedes working with each other here. Marcel Kiefer in front of him here, and they're going to just even trying to get back into the points here at Mercedes. 2 seconds behind Jake Benham here, so not the race they would have wanted. Tried something different on the strategy. Doesn't seem to have worked so far. Dylan Warren on the attack on Nicholas Longue. P7 on the cards for him possibly. Looks on the inside. Does he make the move stick? Has a look on the inside. Has a 3-second penalty. Don't forget. Longue trying to hang in there on the outside. Through turn 2, through turn 3. Still side by side here. Dylan Warren on a good charge in this race despite the 3-second penalty. Got Longue on his outside now through the fast right, gets on the brakes nicely, still side by side, but it gets the move just about done on the way through the corner. And just keeping an eye, I think actually Alfie Butcher is actually on softs. He's decided to go softs. We'll see how that gets on, but 2 seconds up front. Donoso fancies a podium, though he's all over Caraton.
Yeah, absolutely. He's right up there, and certainly Donoso is certainly not someone to be trifled with. The former race winner, obviously a league race winner as well. Very nearly a title holder in F1 Esports when Brendan Lee then beat him away from it. So they now climb up through towards turn 11. Turn 12 coming up next, the Aston Martin. Right in behind that, of course, Donoso will be joined by Simon Weigang as well as John Evans for the incoming season of F1 Esports. A little bit of a change up from what they had last season. Of course, it was Manuel Biancalila last time out, but this time they're going with Donoso, and he has a stellar record. Might be looking to add something else to his list as well as he chases Alvaro Caraton heading down through towards the final 2 corners. Turn 14 and 15 still to come as they now look to make their way down the long straight. There you can see in the distance Blakely, who's still hanging on as well with Burramanding comes now. Fabrizio Donoso goes side by side. A comprehensive overtake here from the Chilean as he now makes his way down through towards turn 1, and it will be Fabrizio Donoso up to the podium places, but he will sacrifice the DRS now to Caraton on the outset of turn 2. Shanaka Clay as well battling with Wilson Hughes as they make their way out of turn 1 and 2 to turn 2. Shanaka Clay now fighting back. What about Jake Benham, who's also looking to come back in as well? Side by side, Archie Bargy with that of Wilson Hughes. The all-star Jake Benham throws it up the inside as well. And in comes Yana Watmere as well. Side by side, Wilson Hughes being sacrificed like a lamb to the slaughter. Yana Watmere takes him and makes his way up into P11. Sensational scenes through the first sector.
Yeah, he's flying, isn't he, Yana Watmere? He's got the freshest tyres of anybody. He'll start picking off the cars in front here. Here comes through the next part of the corner, Shanaka Clay. What a drive so far. He started last and he's up inside the points here in P9. Can he hold on to a points position? Here comes Yana now, picking off his current teammate as well, Jake Benham, into P10. So goes Jarno Watmere. There's still a big result on the cards here for Jarno. He's got the freshest tyres of anybody and he's carving his way through the field. But I'm looking up here to know, so does he fancy second here in Bahrain, chasing after Barry Borman at the front as well. Caraton not too far behind as well. But you've got to say, Lucas Blakely is gone. 2.4 seconds, and he's got more ERS to work with as well. That move that he made to build that gap, so crucial, and it's going to take something drastic to change here. But Brendan Lee falling further down the order. Here through goes Freddie Rasmussen. Dylan Warren, though, another position gain. Does he fancy a chance on Freddie Rasmussen? No, he doesn't. If only for that 3-second penalty, but Dylan Warren is on a massive drive here today.
He certainly is. Jarno Watmere also on a massive drive, tries to beat past Shanaka Clay. This is for points. There's Clay. Very soon you'll see one solitary Dutchman on his inside now. Look at the rear, look at the mirror on the right-hand side. Jarno throwing it in at turn 4 as they come together, heading through now towards turn 5, 6 and 7. It's Jarno Watmere now, up into P9, charging up through the points, makes his way through, now giving chase to that of Nicholas Longuet. It's not over, folks.
No, I think Jarno's still got a chance at P5 here. He's got a charge on Nicholas Longuet. Longuet does not fight him, lets him through on that inside. It's P8 for Jarno Watmere now as he charges his way up through the order here. Lap 23 of 29. There's a big gap with Rodolphe Butcher now. Displaces Shanaka Clay, and they're going 3 wide there. Berezne's got up the inside of both of them. That's P10 for Danny Berezne as they fight their way further through now. Shanaka Clay not able to hang on versus Alfie Butcher. The Haas is double teaming him as Watmere gets through on Brendan Lee. That's P7 for the Flying Dutchman now as he continues his charge. He's got Dylan Warren in front, he's got Freddie Rasmussen, and then he's got 2 seconds up to the podium. How good are those mediums? Can he bridge a 2-second gap?
I don't think they're that far away, Jack. This could actually spring a major surprise. We haven't seen anything quite like this. I mean, Jarno's done things like this before, as we now see already. Dylan Warren now challenging Freddie Rasmussen to know so. Also looking to make big moves as well as they head out. Dylan Warren getting past Freddie Rasmussen. Incredible. And now a battle that we have seen time and time again. Rasmussen and Watmere as they come down through towards turn 4 out of turn 3. There they are now, soon to be coming through the slalom section. Rasmussen got it wrong. Rasmussen got it wrong. Watmere goes through. He's up to 6.
Yeah, this is not out of the question. He's got Dylan Warren in front right now. What a drive from young Dylan Warren so far. P5 currently, and he's trying to keep Jarno Watmere behind. Barry Borman is on the struggle bus now. He's got Donoso and Caraton behind him for P3 and P4. But Jarno, this is vintage Jarno Watmere charging back through the field like we've seen so many times. DRS open, nothing Dylan Warren can do, and he's back in P5. This is where he started, P5 for Jarno Watmere. Now he's got to bridge a 2-second gap, and he's got 5 laps to close that gap up to Alvaro Caraton and Fabrizio Donoso. He's got the freshest tyres of anybody, but there is still a good bit to go in this race, but it's still Lucas Blakely. Now the gap is at 3.2 seconds. Epic drive from Lucas Blakely right here, and he might be about to end the duct of Barry Borman winning every single race opener or season opener since the beginning of this championship back 2 years ago. And well, he's on course for a fantastic opening victory. But now Donoso, here he comes on Barry Borman. This will be an epic result for Donoso inside, in towards turn 1, and Fabrizio Donoso into P2 in the first race of the season. That is epic stuff, and this is what we like to see from Fabrizio.
Absolutely, back to near his best, I would say as well. Plenty of names now starting to restore old form. Caraton also having a great race. Jarno Watmere trying to close the gap. He is broken to within that 2 seconds as well, so he is starting to find a little bit of pace here. Longue starting to trip up now, heading towards Brendan Lee. They're currently fighting to within 2 to 3 tenths of a second. Berejne having a cracking race as well, getting himself back into the top 10 after some early struggles. But Barry Buraman now looking to try and charge back at the Chilean Fabrizio Donoso. They now make their way through around turn 10 out of turn 9. Very, very tricky, because we remember seeing last season so easy to oversteer around that particular bend. This year you've got to be concerned about the rear end on the car, as now we see Berejne and Butcher swap sides very nearly enough. Obviously Butcher trying to put some pressure on his teammate currently for this season, as they now head up through towards this latter sector now very, very shortly. Lap 25 of 29 will soon become lap 26 of 29, and a mere 4 laps remain in this race. Blakely now still on top. Barry Buraman now starting to charge as they make their way down through towards the final couple of corners here on this very lap. Buraman with a chance here to unleash again his car with DRS and then make his way through. But watch out for Caraton, who is right behind as well. Caraton now looking to launch a charge. 3 wide now through towards turn 1. Caraton with a favourable line. The inside line gives him second place, Jack Canan.
Yeah, I think you want to be second or third on the final lap here for that. Alvaro Caraton making the double move, but Jarno Watmere is in DRS of this top train as well. Brought the gap from, it was 2 seconds on the previous lap, so it doesn't mean he's about 2 seconds a lap quicker than the guys in front here as they fight it around, but he's going to be in the mix here with a couple of laps to go. So Caraton retakes second, Donoso shuffled back to fourth. Barry Buraman getting shuffled there, and Otmere's very much there now with that tiny mistake from Donoso through the hairpin. Half a second is the gap now between these guys up front, and you can see now the DRS is super strong on this game. You saw how the overspeed that Caraton had coming from further back, so this could get very messy, but Lucas Blakely is cruising out the front. 4.3 seconds is the gap. We haven't seen a gap that big in a long time, but it is Blakely who leads. Caraton in second, but this will not be over until the final lap. I can tell you that for certain between these guys. Caraton wants to get this game cycle off with a bang, and what a great performance it is from the Williams guys so far. Barry Buraman, it looks like his winning duct of season openers might end, but he is the reigning PSGL champ, wants to get it off to a good start. Donoso on a redemption arc, and Jarno Watmere certainly wants to get this game cycle off to a great start like he did in the social. Up towards turn 1 then. Buraman to the DRS of Caraton. Donoso on the attack as well, down towards turn number 1. They will go 3 wide again. Here comes Donoso on the inside. Otmere looking for room as well. He's hanging back for the moment, but Donoso retakes that second place. Buraman shuffles into third. So it's almost like if you're second towards turn 1, you'll be fourth by the end of it, and they sort themselves out. But Donoso back into second place right now. Buraman settles for the moment, and I think Jarno might just bide his time here.
I think he will. He's got every chance. Lap 27 to 29, still time to go, and he is right behind all of them. Bear in mind, his tyres a lot fresher. He has only done 8 laps on them, Jack. Every car ahead of them every car ahead of him is in the double digits. The 2 cars ahead of him on 13 lap-old mediums, 12 lap-old mediums, Blakely, and now Donoso as well. So Otmere has plenty in the tank in terms of grip as he makes his way through turn 10. He has got every chance to give himself a potential podium. Could it be on the cards? As they make their way down towards turn 11 yet again, and Donoso, who's had a cracking race so far, has been throwing it left, right and centre, swapping with the likes of Barry Buraman and Caraton, who's also had a sterling race. But Jarno Watmere now cruising through this final sector here in lap 27. Still 3 more laps to go if you include this one, and Jarno Watmere is right on the tail of Caraton, the Flying Dutchman, who's given us many a surprise already. The shock factor still very much high here at PSGL as then they make their way down through towards turn 1 yet again. Lap 28 of 29. Blakely currently checking out, 4.7 seconds clear, as now Barry Buraman looks to make a move for second place. Not quite yet, but he might wait till turn 4 as they make contact through turn 1.
Yeah, Brendan Lee getting in front of Freddie Rasmussen as well. Freddie just trying to hang on for points right now as well, because he started down in 15th place. He's done a good job so far. Otmere trying to have a little look there, but didn't quite get it done. But Freddie Rasmussen at the same time trying to hang on to P7. And again, tyre whisper, softs to hards he's done in this race as well. Pitted later than most and is now trying to hang on for these points pay positions. Otmir looks on Carrots very close between the two of them there. Wasn't quite able to get it done though. That might cost him a tiny bit of time. Left the door open for Dylan Warren just a small bit there. But again, he's going to have one opportunity, and we're heading on to the final lap in just a few moments' time. But Blakely, what a performance. He's 5 seconds clear up the road.
Yeah, he certainly is. A very big mistake there from Wilson Hughes further back. Lost a little bit of tread. He's actually had a 3-second time penalty as well. Insult to injury heading around turn 10. As now we're seeing Otmir now make his way through the final sector as they now cruise on through, heading around turn 13. They'll now make their way down the next straight. And Blakely is going to take them through now on the last remaining laps that we have ahead of us. Further back, Dylan Warren back in the mix again. He himself as well also putting together a very hefty run. He's got 15 lap-all mediums underneath him at this point. Buraman now looking to try and gain here on Donoso as they head through now towards turn 1 now. It's the final lap of the race, ladies and gentlemen, and Buraman's taken his advantage. Second place now goes to him as now we see Brendan Lee and Freddie Rasmussen come together. Lee are now up to 7th. Danny Berejnay now looks to try and push his way through as well at the expense of Freddie Rasmussen. Berejnay making the moves. Now look at Longue. 3 wide now as they head through towards turn 4. Longue with the inside at turn 4 as well. But Berejnay fighting back as they make their way through the middle sector.
Yeah, it all kicked off at the front, but Donoso trying to charge against Borman now, but wasn't able to do it. It was actually quite tame towards turn 1. Alfie Butcher, as he had an issue, yes, he's facing the wrong way on the final lap. What a shame for him, but there is still a bit of time left to go in this race. There's one more DRS straight, really, for the rest of these guys to try and make a move, but Borman trying to hang on to second place here to show that he has not finished lower than second in any season opener so far in PSGL, now doing just enough to stay in front. But there's just a few more corners to go. 2 corners left on this circuit now, and Otmir is lining up these guys in front. He's got ERS to burn here. He might have a little go going into the final corner here. This is going to get spicy up towards the front end as well as they head towards the final corner. No one can touch the McLaren of Lucas Blakely, who will exit the final corner as Otmir makes a move on the car in front here. But it is Lucas Blakely who wins the season opener here in Bahrain as they cross the line. Borman is second, Donoso is third. Otmir just about got Carroton across the line. It's P4 for Jarno Otmir. Alvaro Carroton settles for P5. Brendan Lee P6. Danny Berejnay P7. Dylan Warren with the penalty drops to P8. Nicholas Longue P9. And Freddie Rasmussen hangs on for points in P10. Great effort from him. What a Grand Prix, but a dominant display. Lucas Blakely back on form.
Absolutely, Jack. A stellar display from one Lucas Blakely. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, your winner today of this race, and certainly the very first round in the PSGL PC Championship of season 34. And what a way to do it as well. He was in stellar form, managed to build a great, grandiose gap. But the Banzai finish, certainly the incredible finale we had in the remaining laps. There were plenty of moves left, right and centre here at Bahrain, and it certainly did deliver a spectacle, I think, for everyone to enjoy. And what a way to celebrate 30,000 subscribers, not to mention hitting 10k on the broadcast as well live. Incredible. Thank you, everybody, for your sensational support. Blakely is your winner, and it will be certainly plenty of other drivers in the mix as well. Don't count out Ferrari. Don't count out Barry Burremand, last season's PSGL champion second. But Donoso, Jack, the surprise package, back again and fighting for top honours.
Absolutely great to see Donoso up there again. Found his stride towards the end of the last game cycle. Has now got himself back up in the mix. Lucas Blakely, though, from third, taking that victory. Barry Borman finishing in second. That's where he started. Donoso started 7th. He finishes in third place. Great effort. Jarno Otmir P4. Alvaro Carroton, great effort in P5. Brendan Lee, I think he'll be a tiny bit disappointed, but again, good to see him up with that pace up the front end. Danny Berejnay, who started 16th, finishes in 7th. What a shame about that penalty. Dylan Warren from the last row of the grid finished on an on-track P6, dropping to P8. Nicholas Longue starting from 14th, finishing in 9th. And Freddie Rasmussen, who started in 15th, finishing in that P10. But he had a totally alternate strategy, starting on the soft compound tyres, moving to the hards, did a great job to hang on to that as well. 2 DNFs in the end. John Evans and Luke Smith, and Thomas Ron are taking the fastest lap, but he will not get a point for that. How many storylines have we got out of that first race? Lucas Blakely back on form, and well, a resurgent Fabrizio Donoso, a resurgent many other drivers as well, but the talking points, a repeat of the end of last season, Otmir colliding with a Red Bull.
It certainly brings up some familiar storylines, Jack. But I've got to say, I think first of all, let's get this out of the way. Let's talk.
Ronark colliding with a Red Bull. Sorry, not Otmir.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think I said Otmir. Ronark colliding with a Red Bull.
I mean, again, it's the Otis Ronhar story again, isn't it? I mean, at the same time, these two coming together. Of course, we had it before with Longay as well. And I mean, obviously, we've got a fascinating championship ahead of us. I mean, we've got to give credit to Blakely returning again. Certainly a former champion here at PSGL, the current F1 Esports champion, a winner again here in this series, which is great to see. Burraman showing that same turn of foot, that same pace. I think obviously all the fighting that was happening in that midfield, I think obviously, I think ended Burraman's chances of potentially securing a race win, as well as many others that were also looking to try and get themselves into contention for top honours. But credit to Blakely, he made the moves that were crucial, the important integral ones to say the least. We're going to sit tight now because we have got some drivers joining us here for interviews. We do have the one, the only Fabrizio Donoso, ladies and gentlemen, joining us here for an interview. Fabrizio, welcome to the commentary box. A welcome return to the podium for yourself. I think you seem well versed to this new game.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, honestly, I'm quite surprised about how the race went, because we didn't do much of a race prep with John and the boys. We knew what to change from quali to race to have a setup that works better for the race, so that worked. That paid off as well. And I mean, yeah, I saw there was chaos already on the early stages of the race. So I was just picking up my fights when I was sure that I was gonna win them, and yeah, it worked out quite well. The strategy was on point as well. Good scrap at the end with Barry, and yeah, P3, not bad for first race.
No, it's a fantastic result. And obviously, you were fighting there with the entire scrap. There were plenty of drivers that looked to be showing a great level of pace. I mean, how do you compare? I mean, what's the closest in terms of the handling side of things, Fabrizio? You know, you've raced plenty of these F1 games. Can you pinpoint a certain timeline where this handling model is similar to any of the others? Is it anything like 2017 when you were fighting for the title in F1 Esports, or is it at all similar to 2020? Because when I've driven it, it seems far apart from where we've been before.
It's I think overall it's a game that a lot of people need time to get used to, because it's been a while since we have had this much grip on the car and this much rotation. It definitely feels feels more closed from the 2020 game. Feels close to what we have now, especially under braking. We have a lot of rotation on our braking. But yeah, no, I mean, even John last time in Spain, we showed up that we may be adapting a bit better than the rest of the grid. This is very early stages as well. You could see the gap in quali. There was a tenth between P1 and P10. So the gaps are already very close, and yeah, honestly, happy with the of what we could see in the race. Especially on my side, I could pinpoint some things that were interesting to be noted, and we'll keep working on that for the next few ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I want to talk about as well the initial part of the race, because obviously you were sitting yourself in behind the runners. It seemed like a very patient drive of yours, Fabrizio. We noted as well that you seemed to be saving a lot of ERS. Was that part of the plan? Was it just to let the drama unfold in front and then pick your moment to then lay down the attack?
It was exactly like that. I mean, you know, on the very early stage of the race, we tend to use a little bit more battery than usual. It wasn't the case. I mean, I had pace to not use at all my battery, and I knew that I had very good ERS levels compared to the guys I had. So I just needed to be patient and wait for the right moment to to push and yeah, I mean you saw that at the front they were batting like crazy, so I just stayed calm and took the positions one by one.
Well, it was a very smart move indeed. We look forward to seeing some more of it as well, Fabrizio. Congratulations on a return podium as well. Cracking start to the season, and I'm sure we'll see you next week. Will we see you next week?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Top.
You will see.
Top.
You'll see John and myself.
Top man. Great.
Congrats to Lucas for the win and Barry for the P2.
Fabulous. Team Sportsy, ladies and gentlemen. We all get along together. Congratulations, Fabrizio. We'll see you next week.
See you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Next up, we have Barry Burman joining us here in the commentary booth, fresh after a return podium, and also our current reigning champion in PSGL as well. Barry, welcome to the live chat again. Similar results, different game, different platform. How was it?
Yeah, first hello to everyone watching and hello to you guys. Yeah, I mean it's completely different, of course. This game completely different to new game, to old game. Of course, it's good to race, and then you will find your weaknesses, your strong part, and then yeah, I mean that was a crazy race. Like first stint, like I think everyone can agree we were just trying to survive because the two alphas was on mediums, and they were like trying to get 1-2 by any scenario. And then of course we as a hard runners was trying to not make it happen, and I guess we did better. And so yeah, it was a crazy race, I guess, but at the end P2 not bad. I mean GG to Lucas, crazy good pace, and congrats to Fab as well.
Yeah, no, it was a stellar race for Fabrizio, certainly from Fabrizio's standpoint as well, after what we just heard from him. But obviously from your end, Barry, you were right in the mix for many of it, because there was a huge battle in the top three. So a lot of swapping. Obviously, Brendan Lee came a little unstuck as the race went on. I mean, how hard was it to manage a race like that? I think this is the first time we've had a game where we could really see some more side-by-side action.
Yes, actually, because the DRS is too powerful on this game, and also the dirt tier, so it makes everything. And the dirt tier is not like strong, so in this game we're gonna see like a lot of races like this, and I can imagine like that straight into Vegas, and like P1 can go like to P5 at the end of the straight without DRS. Like in this game it's like this, so yeah, I mean it was crazy. Like of course, like everyone was trying to survive at some point. At least I was doing it, and then yeah, I mean because I think the more chaos was because of alphas were on mediums, because they had to go, like they had to use their advantage, and when they like couldn't, it just make our like hard runners race way easier. But yeah, it was an interesting race, but yeah, lots to learn from it.
Absolutely. Well, we're only at the first chapter. Obviously, plenty more to come. Can you defend your title?
Of course, it's always a pleasure racing against these drivers. All of them are professional, all of them are really good. But yeah, I mean, I texted Lucas as well. I'm gonna continue. I told him he won the first one, but not gonna be the last one.
Well,
but yeah.
Right.
Yes, he's here.
Well, listen,
I'm listening.
we're so used to hearing your name at the very top, obviously, from start of the season's gone by. Obviously, it used to be Barry Burman winning the first three races, and then it would sort of get a bit convoluted as the season would go on. But hey, a stellar drive, Barry. Will you be around next week? Will we see you again?
Yeah, of course, I'm gonna be racing all races, and then of course, who get the first win better than Lucas?
Oh, well, there you go. There you are. Camaraderie, folks, from the two ex-McLaren teammates. Great to hear. Barry, cracking job, mate. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Much appreciated.
Anytime. Thank you, my friend. Next up, we have none other than his teammate from last season. It is Lucas Blakely. Race winner yet again. Starters you mean to go on. And also a current GB4 driver as well, we believe. So it's been a busy week for you, Lucas. But yet you've had time to stop by and win a PSGL race. And no doubt a great race as well. And starting your account here this season very, very strongly.
Yeah, well, hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. It's been a minute since we've done a proper league race. I mean, I did the usual last question mark challenge stuff, but I haven't actually done a proper race since, like, esports. So it's been a minute, hope you're all well. GG as well to Baza. We'll have a good bit of a bit of memes, bit of chaos on the track. We were literally messaging right before the interview. But yeah, all good, man. And yeah, that was a pretty crazy one. The first stint was a lot more chaotic than maybe we all expected. I was really angry with myself after qualifying. I think a lot of us probably were, because I don't think any of us really hit a lap. It was really, really hard to extract everything. I wasn't too happy with my personal performance in qualifying, so I was wanting to really make up for it in the race. And yeah, the first the first stint was just straight up survival. Oh man, it was so hard to understand what was going on. Cars were 3 wide, you're braking 50 meters earlier, you're lifting, and I literally was just like, nah, after you lads, I can't be risking my front wing every corner. So I just wanted to try and be patient. Thankfully that paid off. It doesn't always pay off trying to be patient. That happened to me a few times last year in esports, but yeah, managed to pick my way through the chaos. And then yeah, the race pace looked pretty good. I think in quali we had a little bit, we didn't quite get the best of things, but in the race I felt really good, which was encouraging. Still, obviously, very, very early on in the game cycle, so there's still a lot of improvements to be made, both driving-wise and obviously game knowledge-wise. But yeah, it was a good fun race, and I just took my chances where they were and had a bit of fun. I didn't even speak for the last 15 laps or something. I can't even remember. I don't know. That's probably an exaggeration, but it was just lap after lap after lap of just banging in the laps. But yeah, not a bad way to kick things off, so happy.
Yeah, no, it was a terrific drive. I mean, obviously, we harked about it with Barry Burman just now, obviously alluding to the very, very strong straight line speed you get with DRS, and not to mention the slipstream as well, being oh so powerful. How imperative is it now? Obviously, based on what we've seen from you today, you checked out pretty quickly, breaking that DRS. Is that going to be the story this year? Is that what you've got to do now when you're at the front? Is when you've got that clean air, try and maximise everything in the corners, break that 1 second DRS gap so that you can stay out of danger of the DRS and the should we say the slipstream as well?
Well, I mean, it's a tricky one because I took my chances where I saw them, because I was a little bit, everything sort of lined up for me, because obviously Barry boxed the lap before. So I had to push quite a lot on the in-lap to make sure, because the undercut is super powerful when you're going from the hard to the medium. So I pushed quite a bit on the in-lap, trying to make sure that we wouldn't lose way too much. And it was really, I had to make sure I stayed ahead of Freddie as well, of course. If I lose the place to Freddie, then it obviously looks a little bit different. And I had obviously 1 lap, a tyre advantage on Barry, so I had all of these things sort of going in my direction. I obviously overtook Barry, I think it was a lap or so after the pit stop, and then I was I passed Brendan at a really good time as well, because of he was on the hards that were maybe 4 or 5 laps older or something. So for me, everything sort of slotted in, and when I got ahead of Brendan, I pushed like crazy. And because I knew how powerful the DRS was and the slipstream, and I basically put all my eggs in one basket and just pushed like crazy to try and get away. Because I knew I had the tyre advantage, and the pace felt pretty good especially weirdly towards the end of the stint, which I wasn't expecting. Pace felt pretty okay. Yeah, and I just took my chance, and I got not lucky, but everything fell in place, if that makes sense, because when I cleared Brendan, obviously then Barry had to then get past Brendan, and then there was that 1.5 second gap, which when I have the tyre advantage, obviously I knew that all I had to sort of do was try and be rhythmic, because obviously when you've got a tyre advantage, even if it's a lap, you've got at least a tiny bit of advantage, but I think the pace generally was also quite good, so I think everything just sort of lined up nicely, and we executed a really good second stint. Just got my head down, didn't do anything stupid, and pushed.
Yeah, and it's been a busy time for you as well, Lucas. Obviously, off the back of winning the F1 Esports Pro title for the first time, obviously you're looking ahead to your second as well. Obviously, because you want to join the likes of Jarno and Brendan, who have of course done it twice. In terms of getting prepared and managing this, obviously brand new game, brand new handling model. You've just recently been testing and racing in the GB4, and racing, I believe, reuniting as well with the KMR team as well. What's that been like, sort of managing that time? It's
been good, to be honest, because it's almost like a welcome distraction. I I've made no secret that real racing is where my passion began, where it sort of lies, you know. So when the opportunity arose to even test the GB4, which is for those who don't know, GB4 is a British racing championship where
very good,
the
very entertaining.
It's very entertaining, but it's where the 2014 Tatis F4 car, the FIA F4 car, has been repurposed, because obviously there's the new model that you see in British F4. So basically GB4 is the old spec F4 that I believe they manufactured from 2014 to 2021, but just in a different championship. And yeah, I had an absolute blast. Didn't know I would be able to race either until the Friday. Originally it was meant to be just a Thursday Friday test, but it turned into something so much more. And yeah, managed to have a great weekend. Had to really learn very quickly. I don't think it sounds like I'm trying to make it sound better than it is, but like, I don't think people quite realise how difficult it actually is, and how difficult it was to get up to speed as quickly as I was having to do. It was it was really challenging. Really had to dig deep to pull out the performances, especially against a grid that had been racing all season. I was jumping into a race meeting in the middle of the season as well, and there's people that have been racing for all of this year or had multiple seasons in cars and stuff. So it was a challenge beyond, it was insane. And the highlight was definitely qualifying P4, which was beyond my wildest dreams. So, but all of these things that I'm describing now were definitely a welcome distraction, because those who know me know how much grind I put into F1 esports and sim racing in general, to the point where it's very extreme. Where if you ask my teammates, if you ask Wilson from last year, the level of depth I was going to try and win the championship last year, it was pretty insane, which is why I took quite a few months away from grinding the sim, or at least on the F1 game anyway, because I put a lot into it. So when the opportunity comes up to do these sort of things, which is right aligned with my my passion right at heart, where going racing in GB4 and driving in real life, that's my dream, right? That's like what got me into racing, to do these things. And it's something that 14-year-old Lucas, when he had to stop go-karting because my mum and dad couldn't fund me anymore because it's so expensive, is something that I never thought I would ever get the chance to do, and it was something I'm very grateful for. And I am just grateful for the experience. And obviously knew that I was quite a few days away as well. I left on Wednesday, so I hadn't played F1 in quite a few days. So jumping back on Monday, beginning the practice for this, and getting up to speed went pretty well. But yeah, qualifying was a bit of a miss today, but that's on me because I didn't do a very good job. But the race made up for it, so I can sleep well tonight.
Well, it was a tremendous effort, certainly. Great to hear as well that the GB4 is going so well. I might see you in the Euro Formula paddock maybe in some time. You never know. I'd love to see it.
If anybody wants to fund me, then I would be greatly appreciated. Anyone watching, but no, appreciate it, George. All jokes aside, hope everyone enjoyed the PSGL. I saw some tweets that you guys were smashing records, which is simply lovely and what you like to see. So appreciate you having me here. And yeah, see you guys next week. This is the part where I ask what track it is next week, and it's like, is it USA?
Let me find out for you. Bear with me, because
I haven't revealed that yet, Lucas.
Bear with me a second. I'm going to work.
I'm guessing. I don't actually know. I don't actually know what track it is. I don't know.
Well,
it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is? Okay, that's a good guess then. Because that's what it was last year, right? It was an educated guess.
No, it is.
USA could, hey, USA could be 3 tracks, right? So don't say I linked anything. I don't have a clue.
Right, you got to find out which one it is. So yeah.
Yeah, which one is it?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed the race.
Oh, it's fabulous, and I think the audience appreciated it too. And congratulations on the win. And we'll see you stateside next week.
All right, see you guys then. Take care, everyone. Love for you all, and ciao.
Thank you very much, Lucas. Pleasure to have him as always. Our current F1 esports champion joining us there for an interview as well. What a human being. And Jack, he has a lot to celebrate. He's returned to PSGL. He's a race winner coming off the back of a successful run in GB4 where he took a P4 in qualifying. The racing did not quite go to plan, but hey, he has got the pace up there as well, and he brought that pace here to PSGL too.
Certainly did, and perfect way to start off the season, and that is the first time someone other than Barry Borman has won the season opener. So
Yes.
Lord knows how this season is going to go now, because well, maybe
The
now
cycle is broken.
we've seen that the cycle is broken, but maybe now Barry might get a simple championship. We don't know after all this, but yeah, it's great to see how close it was right up to the end as well.
Jack, season
of
on
course,
season, it's been so simple to near enough pick a winner, you know, of the championship. Generally, you can see who is generally the fastest. This time around, everyone's quick. You know, it's not as simple now as picking up one guy, because Jarno essentially has pace. His closing stint was strong. You can't pick a champion right now.
no, you can't. You can't. That's the beauty of it. Of course, you know, Lucas is now the championship leader, but that means absolutely nothing because we're so early on in the season, and we've got a long season in front of us as well. But as Lucas was alluding to, I mean, we only found out where we were going next week about when the broadcast started.
Yeah.
So we've had a look. We've had a look at the opening rounds, and spicy is all I'll say.
Yeah, it certainly is, folks, and you will hear about that calendar very, very soon as well. It's going to be launched on the socials, and this is a perfect time for me to actually plug the socials as well. First of all, though, folks, I want to address something amazing. First of all, you guys at home that make this broadcast uber special time and time again, delivering certainly to all of us and everyone who works hard at PSGL as well. An incredible 10,000 plus of you tuned in live to watch tonight's broadcast, which is just incredible, unfathomable. A salute to every single one of you at home for doing this and supporting this series. It is a pleasure to do this week after week. We're back on a brand new game cycle. It's harmonious right now. Everyone's enjoying it. I think you guys at home certainly enjoyed tonight's race. It was special. And if you would be so kind as to leave a subscribe and also leave a like as well, it'd be greatly appreciated. Check out Premier Sim GL on Twitter and Instagram as well at Premier Sim GL. You get all the updates of all the calendars and also driver updates as well, various other things as well. Stay up to date, stay tuned in. Also, massive thank you for the 30,000 subs as well, guys. We've smashed 30k subs tonight, which is unreal, seeing as we've only just celebrated 28k today as well. So we've gone from one extreme to another altogether. So thank you, each and every single one of you, for all your gracious support. It really does mean a lot. If you want to check me out as well, my name is George Morgan, your commentator alongside Jack Kinnan, of course, as well. My Twitter handle is @GeorgeMorganTV, so you can find me, any updates on that as well. I'm there on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, TikTok as well. Plenty of updates get flown about on there too. Jack, do you want to share your social media as well?
Well, thanks to these lovely graphics, you can have a look at my Twitter right below my name. How about that? We've got at Jack T Coms down there, the 2 C's. I mean, I've been saying this for seasons, guys.
Seasons.
It's right there.
It's become a
Seasons.
trend. It's become a trend now. We say the 2 C's.
2 C's. And you can also find me on Instagram at Jack_Canal if you fancy that as well. But yeah, I want to have my 2 cents. We were not expecting to break a record already. I mean, we've already broken the record in Q2. We broke our previous peak. I can tell you, I'm not sure if you were keeping an eye on it, George, but we actually peaked at 13,000 live viewers at the end, which is insane for a league race.
Unbelievable.
I mean, we're only a community league. Yeah, this isn't F1 esports.
We do this for free, Jack.
We
come here. Everyone behind PSGL does this for free. No one here has a wage. Everyone does this for the love of the game, and we love it. We love broadcasting to you. All the guys behind the desks at PSGL as well, everyone that work hard to pull together graphics, not to mention updates on social media, managing drivers. You know, this is the biggest league in league racing. You know, you've got several tiers on PC, you've got several tiers on PlayStation. It's been existing for 10 plus years as well. We're in season 34. You know, it's just amazing what a community can do, and it's all helped by you guys at home as well. So please give yourselves a hell of a pat on the back and give yourself some credit as well, because each of you make this happen week on week, and we get to do it again next week, Jack.
Yes, we do. We've got a full season ahead, guys. So if you want to keep this going, please do. But again, like we said, the calendar is due to be released on socials as well. But if you listen closely, if you've stuck around, I'm going to tell you the calendar. We've got Bahrain, of course, we had today. We are going to Austin, Texas next week. So that's, again, the Blake wasn't far off. Yeehaw. We're off to Austin, Texas next week, followed by Zandvoort for round number 3. Then we go to Brazil. Yeah, for that's German.
Sorry.
we have we have Sao Paulo for round number 4, and round 5 off to Vegas
Nice.
for round number 5. We are getting Las Vegas. We heard Borman talk about the long straight. I think that's going to be a bit mental. I'm not going to lie. I think we're going to see double like guys getting DRS, making an overtake with DRS, and then losing the position again at the end of the straight because the straight's that long. But those are the opening 5 rounds. The rest of the season, not a clue. But if you want to come back next week, we're off to Kota, which is Jarno's haunt.
I was
So
about
keep
to
an eye out
say,
for that.
Jack, keep your eyes peeled. I mean, we saw a very fast finish from Otmir towards the end of tonight's race. He could yet pull something again when we go racing at Kota. So sit tight. It's going to be good. Big thank you each and every single one of you for tuning in tonight to PSGL yet again. Season 34 getting away. Couldn't get away any better. Returning champion Lucas Blakely, current F1 Esports champion, takes the first win. But Barry Burman hot on his tail. We go ahead. Chapter 2 around the corner. See you next week at Kota. Take care all. Good night. Goodbye.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside. Otmir is through on the left-hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Otmir now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Otmir wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though.